In every battle, there is a moment. Most don't even see it. But for others, it's all they see. That move, that shot that separates legend from afterthought. That instance between your name heard round the world and total, deafening silence. Every moment, every battle only has two outcomes. And when it happens, only you can decide what is yours. And now the true battle begins. With all eyes on you, there's no time to rest. No time for excuses. The moment is now. So it's put up or shut up. It's time to prove without a shadow of a doubt that your best is as good as gold. And the only thing that drives you more than the thrill of victory is the fear of being forgotten.
And they're behind! How many men is he gonna run through? That was just easy dominance. They did it!
Here, on the ultimate proving grounds, Call of Duty's elite converge. When that moment stares you in the face, you'll know one thing. Glory isn't given. Glory isn't easy. Glory is taken.
The big day one of playoffs is over and we head into day two with 4 fresh teams competing for their tournament life. The trophy is what these teams are playing for, along with, of course, a huge prize pool. Welcome to day 2 of the Call of Duty League playoffs. Now, my name is Lottie and I'm going to be hosting the first part of your morning or afternoon, depending on where you are from. But lovely to have you guys joining us on YouTube. Of course, it is a big day 2, but I can't help but talk about yesterday with what went down. I mean, we had 2 incredible matchups. It was great to see Paris Legion once again back at it. It's great to see that their season has definitely improved and at the right part as well. But then, of course, we've got to talk about it. That OpTic Gaming matchup was just insane against the Guerrillas. I've got to obviously welcome our desk with us as well. I've got Pac-Man and Nameless. Nameless, I mean, I'm going to start with you, dude. This day one yesterday, the way it finished, I'm still in shock. I can't really get over it. What did you make of it with what happened in the match?
You know, I think a lot of people predicted those 2 teams to win, right? Like Paris and OpTic Gaming. But in the way that it happened was extremely surprising. Paris with the 3-0, I don't think people thought that would happen. And then, you know, obviously the trouble that Kenny had with internet. For Dashy to come in a $100,000 one and done and to perform like he did is incredible, man. So hats off to him. What a wild start.
I'm never challenging that guy in a wager ever, ever, never.
No, that would be a bad idea. Don't do it, guys. You've been warned. Pac-Man, obviously, coming from OpTic Gaming yourself, you know, having coached them, how are you feeling right now for the boys? Because I know that they really were on thin ice there. Their tournament life was on the line. Dashy had to come in. Were you a little bit nervous with that change?
I was nervous with the changes because Dashy hadn't been playing. And I was nervous for the guys because I know how hard the season was on them mentally more than anything else. And that would just been a horrible way for them to end it with Kenny having internet issues and whatnot. But with Dashy coming in, Batman coming in, Brucey coming in, doing what he had to do, it was a great story for them.
It really was. It was amazing. Now, of course, Dashy has been performing in the last match, obviously. That is what we all took away from yesterday. I mean, and looking kind of at Dashy and his overall kind of KD in the tournament that he had in this season, 1.01, not bad at all, really. But then coming in with that AX50, look at this little hit here, incredible stuff. What was kind of going through your mind, Nameless, watching this unfold before you?
Yeah, it's just a testament to his raw ability, right? Like nobody's ever questioned that. And for him, it's when he's having fun, right? He rolls out of bed, he hops on the toy to play a big match to help his boys out, and he gets the win. When he's having fun, he is one of the best players in the game. So I think it did a lot for his career going forward, and in the new game, getting a big starting spot.
Kenny,
absolutely.
He is different. To get up out of bed, not expecting to play at all, not having competed in months, not having played anything at all, to get on and then have such impact in the games. Like he didn't just go out there and get kills. He had huge impact kills in the closing rounds. You couldn't ask for anything more.
Absolutely, that's your Astro social soundboard right there. I think that's kind of testament though, you know, Kenny being able to tweet that, knowing that there's a lot on the line here, and obviously it means a lot to him to have got to this point with his team and then have to sub out under really annoying circumstances there. I mean, surely that kind of just shows how great that team is, and knowing that teamwork is there within them, because, you know, it's a big mental game for Kenny having to take that one, you know, to the bench. It's really hard. So a big testament there to OpTic Gaming. But we did have an incredible day overall, but we have an amazing day lined up for you guys as well today. It's day 2 of playoffs. I'm really excited to be showing you the bracket here. If you guys did miss yesterday, this is what happened. We had OpTic Gaming send Guerrillas home with an epic matchup. Legion started their day off though with a big 3-0 against Seattle Surge. And then of course today we have 2 mega ones for you as well. New York take on Minnesota. We got London versus Toronto. Some big stuff coming forward here. I think honestly, all of our teams lined up here with our schedule presented by the US Army are pretty evenly matched, I would say. Do I go as far as say, honestly, we could be seeing 2 game 5s? Nameless, what's kind of your verdict here for these 2?
I mean, it really depends on how much of an impact Exceed brings to the Røkkr, right? But as for London versus Toronto, they went game 5 in their last series. London has been pretty consistent against the middle of the pack teams throughout the entire year. So I think it's a fair assessment to say that goes to game 5.
Absolutely. And of course, we do have burritos that could be coming your way with Chipotle. That it all depends on the fact that if a guy manages today in the lobby to drop a 40 bomb, of course, we need eliminations, 40 of them in a respawn. That is what is going to earn you guys a burrito. And it's just, you know, of course, the exclamation mark Chipotle in chat. Make sure you're on it, you're waiting, have it copied, and then paste it in there, whatever you've got to do. Pac-Man, what would your burrito look like, dude?
I don't know. Who do we have today? Mac 40. I'm getting my barbacoa with sour cream, white rice, always the white rice, never brown. I'm just going to go ham on that burrito, man.
Never brown.
I can't wait for this 40 to get dropped. I'm starving.
Absolutely. I'm hungry too. I wouldn't mind a burrito right now, of course. We do have to talk about a matchup, though, that is important here, which is Røkkr versus York Subliners. And more importantly, the big switch up that's happened to Minnesota Røkkr coming into playoffs. Obviously, GodRx has been subbed out for Exceed. Now, I've got to talk about it. GodRx had a phenomenal start to the season on LAN. He was pulling up some insane things here for his team, at 1.28 overall KD. But then the transition to online saw obviously a kind of a faster paced meta coming in for the game. So it's been really tough for him. He's a slow AR player. He did get switched to a sub, and it just wasn't working for this team. He then pulled up 1.03 KD, significantly different here. I mean, Nameless, it's so hard, isn't it, to pull GodRx out right at the last second, but do you think this was the right choice here?
I mean, they had to do something, right? Like, everybody knew that they were going to make a move. And for GodRx, he was fantastic on LAN early in the season, but he is a slower AR type of player, and they have Assault already, and they decided that GodRx was going to be the one that they move out. Otherwise, any other change, they wouldn't have gotten a faster pace. So they bring in Exceed. You can see sort of his accolades there on the screen right now. And they're hoping that he adds that added pressure to the squad that can get them over the hump and respawn. What this reminds me of is a little bit of like New York, where they have a player like Zero who is a fantastic player who individually does his job, but he's still a little bit too slow comboed with accuracy, so they get rid of him and they bring in Mac in the up-and-coming amateur, and he lights up the stage, he opens up the map for them, and the games become easier. So that is what they're hoping for with Exceed, so we'll see if he can do it. It's a lot of pressure, and he's going to have to, you know, show up at COD Champs, his first time playing with them.
Yeah, it is a lot of pressure. I mean, Pac-Man, looking at this right now, because obviously GodRx, it's hard to kind of fault him with his numbers, especially at the start of the season. And yes, he has had a slow finish, but is it a big risk at this point, putting in a brand new player with a brand new feel in this team and taking out GodRx, which you know and have seen previously work before? Is the risk too much, or do you think there's honestly some reward left in here?
Normally, I would say yes. That's a huge risk, right? You're taking out one of the better players, a pro now for 2 years, and you're bringing in a player that you've never played with. But you saw that they haven't won a match since May 23rd. They're 0-8 in matches.
Oh, man.
They have to do something. So although it is a risk, I think the gains outweigh the risk. You know what I mean? Like it's you can gain too much by switching out a player like Nameless said that can open up the map and do something for you. You just have seen them struggle too much. We don't know what we already know we were getting out of that old roster, and it wasn't good. So
yeah, absolutely. I think the thing is, it's weird. There's been so many switches that have actually worked, and I think it's kind of looking at that trend and talking about switches. We have seen a big switch for the New York Subliners, and it's worked tremendously for them. Obviously, Mac melts, who does melt, indeed. We have seen it happen. But New York Subliners have really leveled up the playing field here. I mean, winning their New York home series was huge for them. It was great to see this totally all-inclusive New York Subliners team that I think I've honestly been waiting for all season long. Nameless, what did you make of their finish here at their home series?
Okay.
Is that a warning?
Fire alarm, guys. It's too lit in here. It's a fire alarm.
Mac joined the team and he's hot.
Yo, Mac's gonna be frying, man. You hear this? Shout out Mac Notes. All right, guys. I'll be back. I'm gonna go outside.
No problem. Okay, so Nameless is having a bit of an issue, but we're gonna go and have a look right now at somebody who is cooking up a storm in the kitchen, who might also have a fire alarm going off. It's Chef Tony. Let's see what he's cooking up for us here at Playoffs.
Hello, and welcome to What's Cooking with Chef Tony. Thank you. You're far too kind. Now, you're right to be thrilled. We have a very exciting episode today. Chef Tony is going to share with you my recipe for the CDL 2020 playoffs. All right, moving along. We got the 5th seeded boys from New York, the Subliners, against the 8th seeded Minnesota Røkkr. Did you guys know that Minnesota produces the most sugar beets in the US? And did you know that sugar beets contain a crazy amount of sugar that you can use in cooking instead of cane sugar? Finally, did you know due to the crazy amount of water that sugar beets absorb, they should explode, but they don't. Scientists are stumped. They have no idea why. If I were to eat all this sugar, it would kind of be like the Røkkr season. It'd start off great, then it'd crash hard. The New York side, we had to get some Mac Melts premium butter. It helps fry anything. Ever since New York added Mac to their lineup, their season has been buttery smooth. So, I think Minnesota may have their hands full with this one. Arguably the most important initial matchup there is, the London Royal Ravens trying their best against the Toronto Ultra. For London, we're adding some sultanas, aka golden raisins. Now, Brits are mad for these things. They put them in meat pies, cakes, strudels, everything. I don't even have a joke here. You people seriously eat meat pies with raisins. I don't know what to say. And now, for the hottest team in the league, the winners of the most recent home series of the year, the Toronto Ultra, and their ultra fine flour. Now, flour, they're the cement, the glue to every great dish. Toronto Ultra, they've cemented themselves as a great team after that recent win. I mean, that Ultra team, that's full of very good-looking, very, very talented people. I mean, have you seen that Methods guy? He's ultra fine, if you know what I'm saying. Thank you for joining us. This has been What's Cooking with Chef Tony. Thank you.
Well, no fire in that kitchen, so that's a good sign, which is fantastic. But Chef Tony cooking up something. We didn't see
was that
what he was cooking.
Flour,
I don't know.
golden raisins. It looked terrible, but the video was great, hilarious.
I was waiting for the end product. I wanted to know what he was making, and it never came. I'm just left on a cliffhanger here.
Whatever it was, I wouldn't eat it, but I appreciate the effort that he was putting in.
Oh, absolutely. I think he's my favorite new TV chef. So looking for a sponsor for Chef Tony there to start his own, his own program, I'd be tuning in. But talking about, of course, Toronto Ultra, they're the giant slayers. Let's be honest. They beat some incredible teams. So if you did miss it, check this out.
The Chicago, Atlanta, Dallas, and OGLA. Now, OGLA might be like the worst team on paper on that list, but that is crazy. That's a crazy amount of teams to beat. The caliber of teams that they beat to win that home series. You can't say that it's a fluke. That is just confidence building, one win after the other. Fantastic for the Toronto Ultra.
100%. I mean, impeccable stats across the board. I would have loved to see what would have happened if they faced Mutineers. They managed to slay 3 out of 4 of our top 4, which is just, I mean, I would go and say how, but they did it 3 times. So, I mean, they've clearly got something right at the moment. But of course, we do need to talk about London as well. And, I'm always impressed by the content that comes from the Twins Twitter, but this was just hitting different. Have a look at this. Waskins tweeted out, "No stream tonight, spending the night with Bay. See you on the other side." He is giving, you know, his Røkkr a wine and dine situation. He's making sure that, you know, she feels comfortable. She's ready to go for playoffs. Pac-Man, is this the kind of, you know, the kind of treatment you would be giving some of your equipment before a big day?
I wish I got the kind of a treatment that this router is getting. Look how comfortable it looks.
It looks so comfortable. Those sheets linen, beautiful. We do, of course, have our benchmarks here for the London Royal Ravens. And when I think of the London Royal Ravens, I think of a lot of talent, but it just hasn't quite got there yet. I mean, it's so sad because they got so close, but they've been so far from a home series win. You know, big runner-up in Seattle. They just couldn't push it over the line. And I'm hoping that they've shaped up a little bit, kind of worked on some bits and pieces behind the scenes, and really bring the A game to playoffs, because this is the time to do it. They don't have any other choice. They need to show
that
up or
one
go
big
home.
win, Lottie. That one big win where they beat Huntsmen, you know, Dallas FaZe, so they can get that confidence. They just haven't been able to win that game. They falter every single time they get close. If they win that one match, I really do think that we can see them make a run, but we need to see them get that first big win under their belt as a team.
Absolutely do. We're going to head right now to predictions, Pac-Man. It's the most difficult one I think I've had to face so far, but these are, of course, brought to you by Sony's Xperia smartphone. So, bro, what are you feeling for this?
Well, I'm going to give Toronto Ultra that top team respect. They did just win the last home series, so I'm going to go with the Toronto Ultra 3-1 in this. I just feel like I just said, Lennon hasn't gotten that big win, and I think this, right now, at this point, would be that big win, and I just don't see them getting it right here against Ultra, but maybe they prove me wrong.
Hey, you know what? It's hard because I struggle with this prediction. It really could, for me, swing it either way. And I would love to also, you know, give Ultra the respect they deserve after what they have done. But it would also be rude of me to not pick where I'm from. I have to go with London. I'm going to say 3-2. I think it's going to go game 5. But I've got to, you know, have my British roots here right now. I think it'd be rude not to. So I'm going to be going with London, of course. Now let's talk about our game fuel keys to victory. We're going to start with the London Royal Ravens. Pac-Man, what's Nameless been cooking up for us here?
These are Nameless's keys. Let's see what we got. They have a 9-17 Dom record. That is the second worst in the CDL. So obviously we need them to step up in that mode. I think their only team worse than them was the Guerrillas, and we saw them lose it again. They're even in both Hardpoint and S&D, so Dom could be the swing mode / the deciding factor for them in this tournament. Waska needs to go back into that MVP form after his dominant season. He's second in the CDL with a 1.24 KD. So it's basically they just need to step up in that swinging mode. They're pretty good in the others. Step up and close out this series against the Ultra.
Absolutely. And, you know, for me, Waskin is a huge part of this. And I think when the Twins perform together, they've said it before, they have a dynamic that just kind of goes unsaid. They perform super well with each other without even having to call out. So we're looking for that kind of dynamic coming forward for the London Royal Ravens. Let's have a look right now at the game fuel keys to victory for Toronto Ultra. What have we got here? What do these guys need to do to pull this one out the bag?
Methods has been underrated, boasting 5 events above a 1.1 KD, and is the only player in Toronto with a 1.0 overall. Hemi versus Waskin in S&D is a big matchup. He has to win the sniper battle. I do agree that in that S&D, they both snipe so often that sniper battle could be the deciding factor. I just think both teams are pretty solid, and both those guys have proven to be the most consistent snipers in the league, so we will see.
We will see. I really do hope that we have an S&D on Piccadilly, because Waskins always pulls it out of the bag on Piccadilly, and I would love to see Ultra, Cammy and him head to head there. I think that would be awesome. But it is time, Pac-Man. We have said all we can say about these first 2 matchups we had today for the day 2 of the CDL playoffs, of course. It's now time to hand over to our wonderful casters. It's Lando and Studdy. So let's get into this one.
Lottie, yes, it's going to be a fantastic series. Lottie and Pac-Man, all the best. But Studdy, we saw Nameless leave in kind of pretty unfortunate fashion. I have no idea what's going on with him. Have you heard an update from Ant at all?
No, man, it had to be Chef Tony, bro. He was too lit, chefing it up in the kitchen. Couldn't really finish the product. I love that video, by the way. Zinni is absolutely hilarious. But on Nameless's behalf, I hope he's okay. Fire alarms are nothing to, mess around with.
Oh, definitely not, man. Like I said, we wish Nameless all the best. We'll be staying tuned to a few social media platforms, but in the midst, we got to talk about Ravens versus Ultra. And in the midst of that, let's actually go ahead and meet the London Royal Ravens. We talked about the London Royal Ravens. This has been a roster that has been very, very hyped up all season long, right? Kind of coming into the CDL, they were labeled as the EU All-Star team. They've made some, different roster moves throughout the season, adding guys like Zero and Shawnee into the mix. But who knows, Study? This very well could be the Ravens' opportunity. The analysts hit on it perfectly. The biggest issue that these guys have dealt with is that when they face off against the big dogs, they end up falling short, right? An 0-9 record versus kind of some of the top teams in the game. And you never know, man. Champs could be their opportunity to turn things around.
Oh, yeah, definitely. One game mode that I'm looking specifically for these guys to just put their focus in on the time that they had off is that domination. You saw that stat, second worst in the entire CDL, right in front of the LA Guerrillas. And that's just that backbone game mode where they need to be able to step up. When they're going up against these top teams, all of them are really good at hardpoint. So if you go down 0-1, unfortunately, even if you win that search and destroy, you're putting yourself at a disadvantage going into that map number 3 because you guys are just not good at domination. So hopefully, like going into champs and towards playoff this weekend, they've been improving drastically in that game mode.
Yeah, right. I think I've actually seen a few clips coming out from Scraps on Twitter, and a majority of the clips are coming from domination because that's definitely mode they need to focus on without question, especially against a team like the Toronto Ultra, which we know can be so good, especially considering the fact that they looked at the Toronto home series. In fact, let's actually go ahead and meet Chef Tony and the Toronto Ultra.
I don't think Toronto's going to be ready for this.
That is quite literally worst case scenario if you're Ultra.
Toronto, they're meant to lose this game.
Toronto have not quite had what it takes.
And he goes huge for Ultra, and they get their first home series victory. What a map 5 it was.
After a year of disappointment, Toronto Ultra, Cinderella's going to the ball.
It is fair to say the Toronto Ultra have been on one as of late. It's the lean, mean Ultra machine Study. These guys have looked absolutely fantastic pretty much ever since the addition of climax. They bring back in Classic for the last 2 home series, and they have been fantastic to say the least. We talked about them at the Toronto home series. The analyst desk hit on it, right? OGLA, they take down Chicago, they take down Dallas and Atlanta in a round 11 game 5. This team has been so good as of late. I think a big question coming into not just this series, but the entirety of playoffs and even Champs Weekend, if they can get there, is this mentality of, can Toronto Ultra keep it up?
Yeah, it's definitely, since they did have that home series win, it being their own as well, the confidence out of Methods, especially, is closing out in a 2v1 to win his team the entire event. You have to be feeling really good. Now, the only thing is, when they ended up winning that home series, it relied a lot on their search and destroy clutches. So if they're able to keep up that momentum going into playoffs and champs, then they should be set in stone to put themselves in a great position to win.
They definitely should. Well, here we go, Study. Game 1 Hardpoint loading up here on some Gun Runner. Hardpoint playoffs is here, man. I am hyped. I don't know about you, Study, but I am so ready to get into this series. There have been so many people that have been talking about this matchup specifically, and everybody is talking on how this one has the ability to go the distance. And I know we didn't get a chance to give our predictions, but I'll be honest with you. I think that this series definitely has the legs to get us to that final search and destroy.
Oh, yeah, definitely, but it's all going to come down to me for that domination. Depending on how London come out in his first hard point, I'm pretty sure their record is a lot better than Toronto's on his first map. So if they're able to win this, probably lose the search and destroy, tied at a 1-1, that domination, that's where it's going to be it for me. Because if they've improved drastically on that game mode, then they should have a good chance at making it through the playoffs and through champs.
Yeah, and I think too, kind of in collaboration with that, this game 1 is going to be massive for the Ravens because we talk on it that domination, if it is not fine-tuned, then it kind of becomes this scary situation where it's like, hey, we lose the game 1 the hard point. Now we're looking at a search and destroy where we kind of have to clutch up. So a big one for the Ravens and one for the Toronto Ultra that you looked great on previously. They won 3 out of their 4 game 1 hard points at the Toronto home series. But in the midst of this all going down, it's time for some P2 action as Dylan was causing some havoc in the back, but gets shut down by the Ultra.
That almost got scary there. London, they were pushing through that left side train tracks area, had a couple players back there trying to flip those spawns early, but there was a player in climax just staying alive as long as he possibly could, stalling of time for his teammates to come back and eventually hold that backside of the hard point to give themselves, a lead change here if they're able to get a great hold. And this is beautiful on the side of the Ultra.
Yeah, great stuff from the Ultra, at least early. The Ravens doing everything they can to knock on the door. But nonetheless, Ultra doing a great job at locking them forward. Wiskin tries to break on in. This will be pretty much the linchpin to hopefully settle a few of these final seconds, the 30 valuable ones to mention at that. And Zero, with that smoke, has the ability of being masked, as that's going to be 2 for him. Says goodnight to one of his old teammates in the meantime. Says goodnight to Bance, and now the rotation is imminent. A solid break from the Ravens as they'll grab the last few seconds. But if you are on the Ultra side, they're already set up for P3.
Yeah, and this is where it gets scary. You know, you saw London break in with the last 15 to 20 seconds there, and the entire time Scraps was already rotating towards that next hill. Was able to pick up a couple kills in the back to give his teammates the spawn in that back warehouse. But now it's just going to be a fight fest with who's going to win the most gunfights on this hill. You see climax picking up 4, holding it down for the roster, getting 5 now. He's on an absolute heater. Ever since adding this guy to the roster, the pacing that he's been able to set for this team is huge, man. And him being able to pick it up in the slaying department as well is even bigger for them.
Oh yeah, climax. He stole our hearts last year at Champs with Singularity, and what? I think his teammates on that roster, Detain, Insight, Bids, also finished recently 2nd at the European Challenger Finals. And like I said, this guy, ever since adding to the Ultra, has been absolutely electric. Again, like we talked about, he stole our hearts last year at Champs, and he's looking to do the same thing this time around. Does get dropped inside the HP, decides to reference back, and does get at least somewhat of a final word there toward the end. But again, as you called it, Study, climax, his presence has without question been felt here for Toronto.
Yeah, and you're not even mad about that Hardpoint right there. The game is basically tied. You're going to see Toronto fully set up towards this P4 hill. Now you see that number 9 player, which is going to be Cammy, just cutting them all off, trying to rotate out of the warehouse, picking up kills left and right. Just stalling enough time for his teammates to just pick up all this hill time uncontested. You see the London Royal Ravens are starting to get flustered. Can't really figure out how they want to get out of this situation. 20 seconds already in favor of the Ultra. Method's on a 5 spree. They're holding this perfectly, and this is how they're going to want to grow this lead out.
Absolutely. Chef Tony was starting to heat up. Thankfully, if you are the Ravens, you managed to break on in here toward Cargo, but it was getting a little bit scary. Now, the big positive for Ravens is essentially, Study, if they can kind of hold on, kind of mitigate a bit of the damage here at this current hill, be set up for that shipping warehouse up next, they could be in a good position. But any time is good time for London, as they'll be pretty much referencing back here shortly. Wiskin, kind of one of the final lines of defense, as the Ultra managed to, in some ways, break on through. But again, it's the Ravens that are set up for next.
Yeah, and that's a good counter from the Royal Ravens there. You know, continue to hold those spawns towards that P5 hill, just forcing them to spawn. Forcing all the players on Ultra to spawn in that back crates area. You know, you're going to be able to pick up at least 20 seconds uncontested. It's looking like the Ultra are going to decide to put through this ride train tracks area. A couple kills are going in their favor. Hill's going back and forth. And it's looking like Toronto is going to be able to break in this with ease and force the spawns out from the London Royal Ravens.
And that SMG pressure, it's being felt. Classic, he'll walk away with 3 on a 4 spree himself. Can he make it a 5th? The Scraps doing everything he can to keep his wings flying, soaring around through the parking lot, as eventually he will get shut down. But nonetheless, a good ending here for the Ultra in terms of this rotation. And we talked about it, Study, that SMG pressure, the way that a lot of teams have really kind of added in another SMG. We talked about it a lot at the top of the show, the Røkkr with Exceed. It's the pacing, and the SMGs, it's fair to say, they are firing great for the Ultra right now.
Yeah, this is a battle between climax and Classic versus Zero and Dylan. And climax is single-handedly just shutting them down. I'm pretty sure he's at 20 kills already on the map, and that's just absolutely absurd. Guys going off for his roster, able to put themselves up in basically a 50-point advantage. Now, you're going to see when you're rotating back towards this P1 hardpoint, it's going to be just a junk hill hardpoint. Whoever's going to be able to flip those spawns and go towards that P2 are going to be able to chain both of these together. No time is going in favor of the Ultra until I say that climax is able to hop right back on it, play his life perfectly. But they're playing this perfectly, man. You see climax once again setting a pace with that submachine gun, just pushing up left and right, picking up kills when he needs to. And this is a great start for the Ultra.
And that's scary, man. If he was able to toss out that smoke, get around on the flank for next, that could have been scary for the Ravens. But it's fair to say the Ultra, their presence has been felt, and now it's kind of on London, right? When we talk about this munition depot, this is on them to lock this time down, because this very well could tell the remainder of how this map is going to partake. Like we said, Ravens currently with that setup. It's about whether or not the Ultra can break on in. And one player you have to be aware of is that man climax up close. Does manage to drop the first first, but quickly gets taken down. Classic, no issue with hopping in himself, as he'll at least be able to silence one. But it looks as if the Ravens are holding on somewhat for now. But just as I say that, climax, of course it's climax. The tissue is an issue, and he's staying alive for as long as possible. The Ultra are hanging out toward that backside and looking to contest for as long as they can.
And this is beautiful. You see climax 25 and 19. Just setting the tone for his team. Method's right behind him with 20 and 11. But it's all about climax right now. Setting that pace, running in there, picking up a two-piece left and right when he needs to. And if you ask me, Toronto Ultra, they put themselves in a great position so far on this map. They were able to break this. With at least 40 seconds remaining. You know, time is going between both teams at that time. But they're able to open it up at least a 70-point lead. And so far out of the Toronto Ultra, they've been really good at executing their breaks, even if they don't have that early rotation. See players just trying to sneak by, play their lives perfectly. Classic, trying to put himself in a position right there to at least pick up the beginning hill time. But so far, man, Toronto Ultra, they're really coming out on top here. You know, set by climax, setting that tone with that submachine gun. A couple kill sprees left and right. London need to answer back, especially on this hard point if they're going to bring this game back.
Yeah, it's continually relying upon the Ravens. Can they keep up this presence, or are the Ultra just going to continue to break their way on in? They've had a few players, few stragglers trying to be on that flank, and it looks as, again, back-to-back times, Bance is shut down. So good work done from the Ravens again, but nonetheless, lots of valuable time remaining, and if you are London, you cannot allow this to go the Ultra's way. Here comes Dylan's opportunity, manages to find a double, the second one with the knife. But Shawnee trying to do some work up close. He gets dropped as well. So if you are Toronto, it's kind of this same thing going back and forth. It's the Ravens rotating early, Toronto breaking in somewhat kind of toward the ending stages, somewhat of a net positive for both of these teams. But needless to say, Study, the Ravens, they got a lot of work to do still to bring this one back.
Oh, yeah, for sure. Being down 60 points, you're rotating towards that P4. They're going to be able to pick up a couple seconds right off the rip of this hill, uncontested. But I'm just paying attention to that P5 spawn. You see all the players from Ultra spawning there, that #1 player in scraps, trying to contest that, try to flip those early for his team. But this is good, man. No contested on the hard point for 25 seconds now. Only down 40 points. Dylan trying to finesse his way around these crates area. Fortunately, he gets taken down there. But if you're London Royal Ravens, 25 seconds remaining on this clock, you're going to have to try to flip these spawns, because we see it the way Ultra are able to hold their setups, even break hard points when they need to. They're coming out firing today, and it's definitely showing so far.
It is, man. These guys trying to keep up that same presence we saw at the Toronto home series. Like I said, a big question coming into this one. Their first match of the playoffs is, can they keep up that same presence? Can they be that same roster that we saw versus Chicago, versus Dallas, versus Atlanta, versus OGLA? Can they be that same team? And as we've discussed, game one hardpoint, it is massive for the Ravens considering their domination woes. The Ultra with an opportunity to possibly lock this one up. It is all on London, whether or not they can break here at shipping, as climax hanging out behind the boxes. Thankfully has some teammate support, and look at that, 4 in the feed. 0 as well gets cut down at the door. It is starting to get scary for London right now. They have to try to make something happen here toward the later stages, because this game is about to break open. climax does get dropped. Vance is still hanging out and toward this top box position, but London, you're starting to run out of time. 10 more seconds. This one's locked up here, Study.
Yeah, they were just going big. Every single kill needed to go in favor of the Ultra there to hold a flawless hold. climax picking up 2 pieces left and right, just staying alive. I was really hoping that would have went to the next hard point so climax could get 40 and we could get some burritos. But they were able to close it out on that map #1, man. climax really setting the tone nice and early.
Yeah, I think that's kind of the story for me throughout this entire hardpoint, was just the way that the Ultra came out. And I think, like you talked about, it was climax kind of in the early stages, being the difference maker, going on those early sprees, at least in terms of the engagements, was incredibly difficult to deal with. And again, it was kind of those collaborations, those hills back to back that really kind of started to set the tone. But what, 33 and 26 for climax, over a minute in the hill, definitely did a lot for the team and provided a lot of pressure that's fair to say the Ravens really couldn't keep up with.
Yeah, I love the pressure out of Ultra right there. They were able to, even if they didn't have spawns going into the next hard point, they were able to break it immediately with like 40, 45 seconds remaining. And that's just definitely on the sub work between Classic, climax, and even Bance, you know, just stepping up when they need to, staying alive in certain situations, putting themselves in great positions to be able to eventually link up with their roster and set up a pinch so they can spawn the opposite team out. And that's what they were doing the entire first map. Even if they didn't have the beginning time, they were able to break it consistently with each each other, and that's exactly how they were able to take that first map, holding that P5 down to the T. There was not a single player from the Ravens who were able to break into that, and it could definitely shows that Toronto is prepared so far and showing a good showing.
Yeah, they definitely are, man. They've definitely kind of kept up with that same presence, kind of have lived up to what we thought could occur when we talked about that game on Hardpoint. But of course, this is our U.S. Air Force quickscope. Again, study, both of these teams have been so even, really kind of throughout the entirety of the CDL, especially when we talk about certain game modes, right? I mean, both of these teams in Hardpoint and Search and Destroy have nearly been dead even, but it is really about that domination that we talked about that has been the issue for London.
Oh yeah, the domination for London has always been their hit or miss game mode. You saw them pull out a couple St. Petrograds, versus top teams. But looking at this map set right now, Ramaza Search and Destroy is map number 2, and this one is going to go down to the wire. When I was thinking about Search and Destroy between these two teams, you have Cammy on one side, and then you have Wuskins on the other with those snipers. And you're playing a map like Ramaza. I wonder how impactful those are going to be on this map.
Yeah, that's a good point, right? We talk about this Ramaza map. It's kind of an interesting one. I feel like some teams still haven't yet to kind of master it. This is a particular map in Search and Destroy where you don't often see the bomb go down, just kind of based off the way the sites are laid out. But we kind of also got to talk about this too, right? The last time that we did see the Ultra was in that very impressive fashion where they're at the Toronto home series. They're in that Game 5, Round 11. Methods is in that 1 versus 2. And again, I actually have the chance to talk to him, Study, and his big talking point was, this is redemption for me, right? After all the times, after all the memes, the videos of him not being a clutch player, the Toronto kind of stigma of them not being a clutch team, it all ended in that moment at the Toronto home series.
Yeah, man, Methods has to be feeling really good. I'm pretty sure he's the only player throughout the entire year with a 1.0 KD overall in the CDL for his roster. And, him stepping up big in that 2v1 clutch, even though it's basically a 2v2, which immediately turned into a 1v1, and he was just able to trade that effectively. But you have to be feeling really confident. But the only thing that scares me about their Search and Destroy is they relied on a lot of clutching up. So they like to win their matches either 6-5, 6-4, but those rounds can literally go down to the wire. I would like to see them perfect their gameplay, close it out in some 6-2s, possibly some 6-3s. It's going to be all in the back of Methods, putting themselves in great positions. But I'm really excited to see how Cammy's going to be able to do without that sniper, especially on Ramaza.
Yeah, that's a great point to bring up. And I know we talked about a lot about kind of that previous moment at the Toronto home series. In fact, let's actually listen back with that moment with the Ultra and then a very, very intense final round.
2 versus 2. Can they find the opening?
Got 3 on the round. Priest has got 3 on the round. What else can he find? 25 seconds, 7.5 seconds to defuse.
Here goes Major Maniac. It's climax to deal with. He finds the opening. It's 1v1. It's 1v1 and Methods clutches again. He goes huge for Ultra and they get their first home series victory. What a map 5 it was.
Both top, I think. Both top, I think.
Oh, mine down low. I have low.
Go downstairs.
Still have
downstairs
low.
now. Push out. Yeah, let's go.
Both there.
Come on.
Let's go, Zin! Let's
go, man. Let's go, boys! Let's go, my God! Let's go! Yes!
It's great to kind of revisit what was an incredible moment for the Toronto Ultra. I heard so many different beeps. I thought we were listening to Nameless's fire alarm still going on. But hey, regardless, like I said, it is a huge moment for the Toronto franchise. And I guess you could kind of say, Study, at the beginning of the year, this was a roster that kind of came into the season with a 10-man lineup. There was a lot of talk on, is it going to work? They started to make these roster changes that a lot of people kind of looked upon as questionable. This was a team that started off kind of in the regular season, I think was like a 1-5 in terms of their record. They were at one point the last team in the pro point standings, and now they've got to this point where they're obviously in the winners bracket. They've kind of proved a lot of people wrong, and they're one of only 6 teams to win a home series this year. It was definitely a proving ground game at the Toronto home series, and again, these guys are just looking to kind of cater on, keep up with that wave coming into playoffs, and specifically this series here.
Yeah, the confidence out of Toronto have to be sky high, winning their own home series versus 3 of the top 4 teams to be able to close out that entire tournament. You have to be feeling really good. But like I said, the only thing that scares me is that X factor in their clutch ability in Search and Destroy. If they're able to do that, then they should be in a great form once again to try to pull out champs as well. But going into the search and destroy, this is going to be scary for London because their record on this is 1-1 compared to Toronto, who are 6-4. So Toronto are definitely a lot more prepared, have a lot more awareness, have a lot more just overall abilities on this map to know exactly what they need to do. So it's going to be really scary for the Royal Ravens if they decide to go down 0-2 in this series, especially going into that domination.
We talk about the Ravens, kind of the, I wouldn't say the lack of snipers. When we talk about a map like Piccadilly, Arklov, you can definitely see snipers a lot more common. And really for both teams, S&D All-Stars, Cammy for Toronto and Wuskin for London, they're not going to have that luxury that big boy to have to rely on. But regardless, off the break early, it is the Ultra popping on into this B site. The one player that could cause some problems, though, is Zero, as he'll have to reference back current 3 versus 4 situation as the Ravens look to figure out a plan of entry.
Oh, I already love the push from Ultra, setting the tone nice and early. With an aggressive B push, they were able to get traded out, but you saw the perfect positioning to take out scraps out of that BSC building. Now, this is a pretty difficult task for London Royal Ravens. 23 seconds going to be remaining on the clock. 1v4 for Wuskins. I know he's a godlike sniper overall, but there's highly no chance he's able to get that. And that's what you want to do if you're Ultra right there, to be able to secure that first round, setting that tone with the aggression that they were able to continue on throughout that first hard point. Definitely showed, and that's a great opening round from the Ultra.
Yeah, and kind of put it in perspective as well. We talk about a search and destroy map. Of course, the objective for the offensive team is rather to kind of get that bomb down. It doesn't happen very often when we talk about a map like Ramaza. In fact, you only see it about 38% of the time in terms of teams on their offense. Only 38% of the time do they get that bomb down. But when you do, majority of the time, you do walk away with the round. But again, Ultra off the start, looking hot. We'll see what the Ravens possibly have up their sleeves. Ashani will come through with the early nade. Classic instantly replies there on the scraps. But it is going to be the Ravens attempting at that push over at A. There's going to be one man there. But regardless, it's Dylan punching in the digit. Zero going hunting. His Ultra are going to have to be on the rotation. That's what, 3 out of the 4 players aren't even near here. Cammy, though, the one player that was playing defense, does manage to get the pick on Deshani. Here comes Wuskin's opportunity. Manages to shut down Methods. In the meantime, it's trades all around. Zero, the last man alive. Or excuse me, Zero and Wuskin, the last 2 players alive. Thought that Wuskin had dropped, when in reality he's still hanging out, still afloat. 13 seconds left. Zero up close, has 2 players to deal with. But now it's up to Wuskin. Try to delay for as long as you can. Kleenex is right in front. Can he get the timing? He does. Wuskin falls, but he does exactly when he needs to, as the Ravens will hold on. The bomb explodes, and that's now a 1-1 scoreline.
That almost got really scary. The positioning out of Cammy, I thought he played that beautifully. You know, he was the only player at that A-bomb site, just stalling enough time for his teammates to eventually get back. He was able to pick up 1 kill, force it into a 4v3, but then he ended up getting traded, put down, and it turned into a 2v2 situation. But you just love the finesse right there out of Zero. He saw one player in Classic on that bomb site, was not committing to the gunfight, just stalling enough time from Wuskins to rotate on the map, put himself in a great position just to get the bomb guy off of the bomb, and they were able to tie it up 1-1.
Looks at the Ultra leading on what worked for them last time. He got pretty aggressive start for both Classic and Kleenex, and Dylan will be there to shut them down through the smoke. And they definitely helping in unison with it, but the Ultra maybe somewhat of a flank. They send 2 stragglers through B. One player's actually made it on the flank. That is going to be Classic. Bomb player does drop. Thankfully, there is going to be a receiving end to it, as Shawnee manages to shut down 1 as well. But the Ravens, in the meantime, doing everything they can, as the up-close fights will only continue, as Cammy finds another. Zero instantly there for the trade. The bomb is down. 40 seconds still on the clock, but it is all up to Chef Tony. Can he cook us up a nice little meal? Can he give us a highlight? That's really the question now. A 1 versus 3 would definitely treat the folks at home, but I'm not sure how likely it is here, Study.
I love the adjustments right there out of the Ravens. You saw Dylan, you know, they ended up getting taken down in that first round on that offense. They're able to close out this round as well, put themselves up in a 2-1 advantage. But Dylan making the proper adjustments there, knowing that they like to double push out towards that B bomb site. Gets a nice little Semtex in the archway, able to take down 1. Classic, he was able to just run around that mid-map, eventually hit a flank, but that was all Dylan needed to do, was just stop that aggressive push from the submachine guns. You see climax and Classic trying to take mid-map control nice and early, both on offense and defense, but that was a great adjustment out of Dylan.
Yeah, good adjustment from Dylan, good adjustment from the Ravens. Again, massive search and destroy for these guys. Domination by no means their strong suit, going down 0-2 coming into the Dom. Not comfortable waters if you are the London boys, but again, they will be back on the offensive. And we know Ramaza nades aplenty, trying to slow down those early aggressive pushes from the offensive team. And looks at the strategy from Ultra has in fact worked out pretty well. But in the meantime, kind of toward that bottom plat area, you're going to see Dylan pretty much roaming around, which is where you'd probably like to have someone like Dylan, considering how fast he can be with that SMG, how fast he can react to different moments. And these doors are opening. They're going to hear every single thing. Dylan does manage to stay alive. And due to kind of that player, which I believe was player number 2 here, Study, that was Zero. He's actually going to go and free up for that bomb carrier to rotate over to A.
Yeah, great plays out of Zero there. I love the positioning out of Dylan, just running around. I would have not liked him to do that with the bomb, but him just staying alive is everything that his team needs him to do. Zero getting in the positioning that he is now, able to take down Bance, now forcing into a 3v3 situation. Gunfight is going to go in favor of Classic there. Now it's going to be a 2v2 situation.
2v2, making a 2 versus 1. Classic up close. Classic gets taken down as the Ravens will find themselves in a 3-1 position. Zero from the skies, making some highlight plays, and that man Zero cannot be understated. Study what a guy who was kind of added to this team late in the year, previously on the Subliners. Actually got the offer originally from the Ravens, turned it down to go to New York. Later on gets benched by New York and finds himself back with the Ravens, back with his EU brethren. But ever since we saw him on this team, it has been absolutely electric. But from one EU player to the next, Cammy, that sniper rifle, we talk about it on a number of different maps for Mazda, not always highlighted, but that is the reason why this guy has been so good, and the reason why Ultra have been so solid in their search and destroys as of late.
Yeah, and that's why it can be really scary. If you're a sniper, able to put yourself at a pre-sniping angle, like that's one of the most common things when you're trying to cross towards those A steps, just watching it from the sandbags. But he plays that perfectly, knowing that a player is going to be watching that cross on defense. Peeks to slow with the sniper, able to get one, reposition himself in the backside of that archway, able to pick up 2, switches up to the MP5. He's got 3 on the round currently. I thought that the sniper wasn't going to be as impactful as it was so far, but Cammy definitely shutting me up for sure.
Cammy shutting us all up. Methods able to take down Zero. Shawnee last man alive, waving the white flag. As the Ultra, at least in terms of their offenses, they have, whenever they want to, they can just take over that bomb site. And again, it's Cammy with the sniper rifle being the overall difference maker, catching a few off over in Ruins. As that really is the major discussion point throughout that round is Cammy sniper rifle frees open the site. London, they're pretty much sent on the rotation. And again, we talk about it on Armaza. You get that bomb down, and I think it's like 75% of the time you walk away with the round victory. As we'll get to revisit now London. See what they have up their sleeves. That bottom middle fight is always going to be an interesting one. Just on the outside of the door, Zero decides to open it up, pre-fires through, and it looks as if it's going to be 3 in the feed for London. B bomb site, I don't want to say wide open because Bance is still here, but Bance can actually play spoiler. If he can catch an angle, looks as if he has been found out though. What could have been a spoiler potential for the Ultra could be somewhat of a negative position, as now Bance left all by himself, gets cleaned up. A solid attempt, but it's going to be the Ravens coming out on top.
Love that. Ravens right there played that beautifully. You know, you had Dylan come around the pinch on that top middle area. They just broke in from every single door and were able to pick up 3 kills right off the rip. Bance was the only player at B by himself. They were able to put themselves in a position knowing that one player, they still had that B S&D building control, but they did not be aggressive towards that. They just put the bomb down, had somebody watching the top windows. Great execution right there out of the Ravens to put themselves up 4-2.
Great adjustment made from London. Now Ultra, the swing round. 5-2 looks a lot different than 4-3. Methods, can he come away with the pick? Meanwhile, the offensive attack is actually going to be over at A, and we have to keep in mind, player number 4, that's actually going to be Shawnee. Finds himself in a great position, takes down Bance for the first blood, and Ultra instantly take a look toward their backside, saying, where exactly did Shawnee just come from? The Scottish man, we talked about his presence in construction. He tends to like Ramaza a decent amount, and looks if he'll find his second pick of this round, trying to distance the Ravens as much as he can. The player number 6, that's going to be climax, does somewhat manage to free open the site, but it's really about the Ravens who are coming in from that P1 position. Zero is aware of it, manages to drop the first, and now it's all on to climax. Can Toby go big? Can he keep this game close? The swing round, it's massive. He's trying to look at every single position that he possibly can here, Study. 18 seconds left, doesn't have that bomb. A lot of work to do in a short period of time. Roaming around, looking at every single position possible. The bomb, like we said, in the middle of this A site. Takes shots at the first, cannot take him down. climax falls short, and the Ravens continue to distance themselves.
I love the way that Zero so far has been playing this map. He uses his dead silence perfectly right there in that round to get across that bridge area and put himself on these construction steps. Caught one of the players on the opposite team running right through the front door, able to take him down. But you could just tell, like in Search and Destroy, when you're talking about Zero, he's one of those players that are always going to put himself in the advantage and always play the right way. You see him right there, not even peeking, giving climax the chance right there to even kill him. Staying alive, currently sitting at 10-4, just being the finesse king right now for his roster, and he's stepping up huge, man, because like we said, man, if they went down 0-2 in this series, going into that domination, it'd be looking really scary, but them being only one round away, Zero, like I said, sitting at 10-4, stepping up huge when the team needs him.
It's a great call, Stud. Zero answering the call, but how's that for 3? We talk about the Ultra needing some life, and that very well may be their chance as they run right into the line side of Cammy. The sniper rifle hasn't really been as impactful as you see on maps like Piccadilly and Arkalov, but Cammy is having his way. He'll finish this round off with 4, and the Ultra will manage to stay alive, but that is a picture-perfect, rather a perfect situation for Cammy in that moment. As he gets the opportunity, shuts down 3, and the rest is history there, Stud.
I was worried about what Cammy was going to do with the sniper, but so far he's shown me a little bit of everything. 2-piece with a sniper, picking up the subs, 3 kills right there in a row. He was that single player that's just holding down that A bomb site by himself. And Cammy so far sitting at 10 kills on the map, just holding his S&D KD to a very high standard so far. He's currently sitting at 11-7. It's looking like it's going to be another aggressive B push. But London, you see the way that they're set up. Taking that bottom red control, making easy adjustments if they need to be able to wrap out. Wuskins putting a couple shots down, able to take down 1 player. And he's able to get 2 right there, even with the nade. So this is going to be a little scary for the Toronto Ultra. That B push has been getting shut down so far in 2 offensive rounds. But now they find themselves in a 3v2.
Wuskin does a lot of the damage up close, but Bance on the flank does manage to drop Wuskin in the meantime. Up close fight, Dylan manages to win it, and now it's all on to Methods. A huge 1 versus 1, and now it's all on to Chef Tony. Can he cook us up something special? It's not looking to be likely, as Dylan will close things out as the Ravens will walk away with this search and destroy 6 rounds to 3. And now we've got ourselves a very, very interesting series, Study.
Yeah, we definitely do, man. Going into this domination, you know, I'll probably give it to Toronto, but just looking back at that search and destroy, there were a lot of 2v2 rounds, a lot of rounds that went down to the wire between teammates, and it just looked like Ultra didn't have that clutch factor that they had at their own home series. You know, I could be wrong. It was the first search and destroy of the entire event so far for them, but it's definitely a different showing out of Toronto right there. You can just tell they probably weren't as comfortable with it. I was really worried about Wuskins and Cammy without those snipers in their hands, what kind of impact they were going to be able to make. But you've seen players like Cammy still stepping up with the double digits. You know, on the opposite side, Zero stepping up huge for his team with that submachine gun, finessing around every time that he needed to, popping that dead silence, perfect situations around that construction area, just putting himself in great positions right there throughout that entire map.
Yeah, I think that you brought it up really well. It was like different moments where Zero was kind of being the big impact player. He was having those big moments toward construction. I think those particular little moments necessarily obviously kind of get highlighted in some ways on the stats because we see him finish 10-5, but it is also notable that a majority of the kills that he did find were kind of leading to round victories. So a big situation that cannot be understated for the Ravens, especially in this search and destroy. As we'll go and take a look at our U.S. Army tactical play, it is round number 10, and it's pretty much the early damage being done from London. The way that they closed this one out was impressive, and as much as I really enjoyed their B hits here on Ramaz's study from the Ultra, I think it's kind of fair to say the smokes get tossed out. I think it's in this moment where we saw the Ultra have a lot of success over here at B, it was somewhat expected from London what exactly the play was going to be, and based off of that pre-fire from Wiskin, it kind of let us know exactly where the Ravens' heads were at, which is pretty much what we've been seeing throughout the entirety of this game.
Yeah, that first offensive round out of the Ultra, you know, they caught the Ravens with their pants down, were able to win that, but they made the proper adjustments in the next two defensive rounds. You saw Dylan pick it up with a Semtex one round, and then you see Wuskins just pre-firing it through smoke, knowing that this is probably their go-to play, just trying to take advantage with those submachine guns, pushing out nice and early so they can get those positioning if they need to. But good bounce back map out of the Ravens right there.
Yeah, big bounce back map for London as we'll get to guarantee that game for Hardpoint. But like we said, domination is up next. Stay with us as the Toronto Ultra and London Royal Ravens series just got that much more interesting.
Dylan, he's too bloody strong. But that's Zero doing damage.
He's not stopping anytime soon. Again, Scraps has got his number. Beautiful reads from Wiskin.
Raven putting them down.
OpTic Gaming, the official controller of the Call of Duty League. Call of Duty League is brought to you by Metro by T-Mobile. Rule your day with the #1 brand in prepaid. The United States Air Force. Learn more at airforce.com.
Save money at the restaurants you love with Grubhub Perks. Use code CDL Playoffs at checkout to get free delivery.
In every battle, there is a moment. Most don't even see it. But for others, it's all they see. That move, that shot that separates legend from afterthought. That instance between your name heard round the world and total, deafening silence. Every moment, every battle only has two outcomes. And when it happens, only you can decide what is yours.
Tuning in for the CDL playoffs? Want to win some free game fuel?
Use hashtag GameFuelCDL
every day during CDL playoffs for your chance to win free game fuel.
And guess what? If you're lucky,
If you're lucky,
you're also going to win some swag from the CDL.
let's get it.
let's get it.
Tweet at COD League using hashtag GameFuelCDL and hashtag promo for a chance to get Game Fuel and CDL merch delivered to your front door. Type Game Fuel in the chat all weekend long for more details. Study, I've been seeing a ton of people on my social media using those hashtags, and a lot of them have actually been getting rewarded. So you in the chat should make sure to get the opportunity to do it. I've even seen a number of different pro players doing it. So I'll tell you what, man, I've got that Game Fuel sitting behind me, but I'd love to take a chug of it, especially if we get to a lovely Game 5.
Oh, I would love it, bro. My favorite flavor is definitely the green one. It tastes like a regular Mountain Dew to me, but it just has all that extra energy for me. So whenever I'm drinking it, I'm wired to the floor, bro. I'm feeling good, man. So I'm excited, man. I'm excited.
Feeling good? I'm feeling good, especially coming into this domination because we got a 1-1 scoreline. Everybody's been talking about how this one has the ability to go the distance, and the big talking point was if London can walk away with either the Game 1 or the Game 2, because domination has not been great, Study, right? We see, what, a 23-24 record in Hardpoint, a 19-18 in Search and Destroy. Coming into this series, they are even in everything but domination. They are 11th in the CDL, just in front of the LA Guerrillas, which is not something that you really like to talk about all that often, considering the way that they have looked in Dom. But Ravens, every single time that we come into a series with these guys as of late, it has been on, can they capitalize in the domination? I think it was yesterday, Pac-Man was kind of talking on a different team, but kind of specifically about if you're struggling in a certain game mode, it is so difficult because you're basically giving away a map to the opposition. And when we talk about playoffs, when we talk about what this kind of event means, the amount of money that's on the line, it is important to make sure that you are turning up everything. And it's fair to say for the Ravens, it had to be in domination.
Yeah, I hope to God that they spent their last month just practicing a lot of domination, starting off their scrims instead of hardpoint, starting off with Dom, because this is their backbone right here. This is where they need to be able to improve in, and like going up against Toronto, this is going to be a really scary match right here, because you have players like Climax, players like Classic, who are able to just always be that nuisance at the opposing home flag. So if they're able to step up in their slaying department, you know that London Royal Ravens definitely have that capability, but it's just all about the finesse between the subs on this map for me.
Look at the Ultra already off the start. Scraps is having to play some hardcore defense as the Ultra instantly forced their way over into that A base, and it is going to be, I believe, number 9 in Cammy, who's still alive. He and Methods are somewhat hanging out over here, and that's going to cause some problems for London early. Again, they're trying to play that solid defense. Bliskin manages to shut down Methods, and it looks as if for now that push is taken down, but it's been 3 games back-to-back Study where Ultra have come out hot.
Yeah, and that was beautiful, trying to execute that push, trying to flip those home flags right off the rip, but eventually it costs them right there. London Royal Ravens, they were able to pick up 5. Now holding this 2 flag set up around the entire mid-map. All they have to do is just play their lives, man. Holding the positioning such as bathrooms, such as this mid-pipe area, it can be such a great position for these sub-players. You see Dylan just playing his life, taking his time here, making sure he's able to help his teammates at that B flag if they need help. 2 kills are going to go in favor of the Ultra, but you see Dylan with that knife trying to neutralize that. Fortunately, he gets taken down. But so far, so good out of the Ravens, man. Holding the 2 flag cap, not being too greedy, not letting any players from the Ultra slip by and make a play. And they're playing this so far, so good.
Yeah, indeed. Kind of based off that early push from the Ultra, that just kind of goes to show how much of a luxury it is to really hold on to that A flag, just because of the amount of little positionings over at C. As you talked about it, you got bathrooms, you got train tracks, a lot of places to hide, and a lot of problems that could occur with things like neutralizing at all times. For the Ultra, you've got to be aware of that push. They try to make it happen early. As you talked about it, they get shut down. And again, this is the London Royal Ravens pretty much utilizing their advantage. They currently don't hold any control over at B, so it's pretty much try to maximize your time at C. And it's going to be up to Kleenex to do some damage control. He's got 1 player just toward his right over at the box. Doesn't see him. Hopefully gives the call out, and maybe that Ravens player does get taken down. He does. That's going to be Wuskin. So a good attempt from London to try to make something happen. And again, when they try to do some damage over at C, it instantly frees things up over at B. And that's what London are doing. They're utilizing this side of the map to their advantage, and they're doing all the work necessary to keep it in their control.
Yeah, it was huge, man. You saw Cammy. He was that player that was laying behind that C flag, picking up 2 kills when they needed to. But that's good on the side of the Royal Ravens. Them being aggressive towards those crates area, being aggressive in bathrooms, forced players like climax to wrap back and help Cammy, gave them enough time to rotate towards that B flag and eventually secure that. Now, it might get a little scary because you have a couple players from Ultra around this A flag trying to play for that spawn. Nance is going to try to go for this neutralization, end up picking up 1. Still not in their favor, but this is all you want from Bands right here. Just being that annoying player around their base, making them all try to focus back and wrap back. And that's exactly what they're doing here. A couple kills are going to go in favor of the Ultra. Probably a home flag cap switch right here. Yep, as I say that, spawns are going to flip. And this is beautiful, man, if you're the Ravens. You have a 15-point lead, a minute 30 remaining on the clock. You want to obviously push towards the C flag, trying to build some points up in your favor. But I love the way that they're executing this domination so far.
Yep, Ravens doing a good job. Ultra trying to claw their way back in with just a minute 20 on the clock. Let's go to an Astro Gaming listen-in with Toronto.
They're my card to be dead. Yeah, start on B as well. On B. He's going dead. They're gonna spawn secret. Nice.
Yeah, I'm cutting over. I'm elbow.
Kill one if you can.
Oh, green.
Yeah, make sure we don't block secret. Try and watch the secret. Nice. Nick, try and watch the secret, bro. Elbow now. I'm still trying to watch it.
Elbow down.
Nice. One more elbow. Still in my card. And the heavy. That. Nice. One secret. Nice. Good shit.
Yeah,
On B.
Try to hit some
back C on me, back C weak, on C, yeah, one more on B. One more. 2B. I'll slice the weak secret. Yeah, I nailed it.
Go ahead.
All good.
That's one there on you.
Yeah, on B. Yeah. What's your boiler?
Elbow. In the right corner, elbow.
Elbow dead.
Nice. Tap this. Could be.
I'm on shot. Yeah, I'm pushing secret.
Elbow.
Nice. He's got a boiler.
No, I don't.
Go on, we come return.
I want to see here. Nope, he's up.
2 minutes ago was not looking great for the Ultra in this first half, but Study, they have managed to turn things around as they are going to have the advantage coming in to this second half. We talked about it constantly. They were striving to try and get control over at A. They finally managed to do so. They get that AC split hold, and now, like we talked about it, they've got that advantage. After being down a majority of time, they've managed to come back, and they're looking good ever since they got that A flag in their control.
Yeah, ever since they had that home flag set up, where they had the players from the Ravens spawn out towards that back C flag. Once the players from Ultra were pushed up, they were able to secure that B, eventually work on a neutral there. Fortunately, it didn't go in their favor, or the lead would have been a lot higher. But if you're the Ultra, man, that's exactly what they wanted to execute off the beginning of this domination on the first side, but they obviously couldn't get it. You know, a couple kills go in favor of the London Royal Ravens for them to stop that push, but they were able to execute that perfectly. You have Method staying alive at that C flag, just forcing them all to spawn back left of that C flag, and they were just able to put them in the spawn trap for a little bit and flip the spawns on their heads. Now, this is scary for the London Royal Ravens. You can see them both now with the AC flag set up as well. They're looking like they're going to try to do the same thing that Ultra just got done, but Vance is going to be able to be at this B flag, picking up a couple kills.
Vance indeed. Ravens early, trying to get both that A flag in their control, as we saw it happen last time to them. Can they make good on it? We're about to find out as we'll go to an Astro Gaming listening with the Royal Ravens.
I got naded.
Wait, I got you finished. I got naded, man. Be back on me.
Yeah, I need to say box.
I don't. Be back, Ben. P5, Ben is P5.
Watch out, watch for these P5.
218, 218, one you as well. One you might on half 4.
DP, he dead. Wait, naded though. One pushing back.
I need it, Ben.
It's half 4,
Bounce.
You play B.
Pit it losses. One green dead.
Cammy here.
Green run. It's gone back. Green run. Cammy dead.
Nice.
Gonna be ramp on you. Wait till we get there. Bathroom number C. Bathrooms.
I need it, Ben.
Deep heady. Bathroom dead.
I'm dominated B.
Take it down.
Yo, listen. I might try and go full left of A. I might go full left of A.
Okay.
Yeah, stop it, boy.
I'm coming crates.
Nothing green street. I'll flash green street. Waiting in vent.
Push near a bathroom.
Half 4 Kleenex. Deep green. Ben dead.
I need it.
Green weak. Someone in you. One's in you as well, guys.
My bullet, man. Fuck, he's close. He ran away.
You dead.
Let's go. Force.
I'm watching you, Pinch.
I got CV spawn and flash Nick
Yeah, well.
I'll push it.
Head on me, guys.
Take your time. I should be here, Røkkr. Yeah, we're gonna have to.
This one's coming down to the wire as you've had a number of different interesting plays kind of throughout this entire game so far, but it is right now rather a big change-up in terms of spawns as we take a look at player 1, player 4. That's actually going to be Shawnee and Scraps who do get that push now over at A. That is a massive kind of look for the time here study. As we talked about it, the Ravens earlier were trying to get from C over to A. They continually got shut down over and over again. Now they possibly could have A back in their control. A lot needs to be done, though, with just 2 minutes left.
Yeah, just going back to that listening to the way that London was communicating, you could just tell, like, when they got a kill by that B flag, they were just committing to it. They were not trying to go towards that A flag. Every time that they did, they ended up getting shut down by Ultra. And that's exactly why this lead is growing so big so far. You know, you had Toronto Ultra who were playing this perfectly, players like Clammy who were pushed up all the way on that right side crates area to be a nuisance, go for that neutralization at C. And if you're the London Royal Ravens, it's starting to get scary, man. You guys are not really good at holding that C setup. Once you have this A flag, you guys should be in a lot better position. One player is going to try to go for that neutral onto C. Gets taken down. Ultra up by 25 points. A minute 30 remaining. You know, we're going to have to see the Ravens step up big, you know, with a couple neutrals. Probably a trip cap for a little bit. But the way that the Ultra are holding this so far, man, with all the positioning that they have, it's going to be a pretty difficult task to do.
Yeah, it's starting to look a little bit grim, to say the least, for the Ravens for now, as they'll do everything possible to try to break in onto B. climax hiding throughout the smoke and does manage to find that one. It got a little bit close there toward the end, but again, like I said, the storyline continues. The Ravens, the struggles and domination only continue. They finally managed to break in over at A, but the time was just starting to tick away just a little bit too much. And this one should be in the hands of Toronto as time's starting to tick away. Zero doing everything he can, as he's been an absolute menace, by the way, throughout this entirety of the series. If there is a positive takeaway from this map here study, it has been how great Zero has looked on a force break, currently sitting at 26 and 14. He's clearly been involved when we talk about engagements. We talk about the objective, but it is not enough as the Ravens do lose the domination. As we hit on it coming into this series, this has been a struggle for them, but they've kind of, well, I think they're 3-8 in their last 11 dominations. They're now 9-18 on the season with this loss here. It continues to be a problem point for London.
Yeah, I'm just looking at the captures on Toronto Ultra side. You have 10, 7, 7, 9, 8. And that's just a substantial amount of just neutralizing flags when you need to, capturing when you know you have the advantage. And there was a lot of that sub-pressure work that we were just talking about before that map even started. climax with 11 captures, and that's just something you don't really expect. You know, if the opposite team is holding their proper home flags to the best of their abilities. But I just knew that the aggression on Toronto Ultra right there, especially with Classic, climax, and Cammy, all going for that opposite home flag, being aggressive, being a nuisance, neutralizing when they need to, staying alive perfectly, stalling enough time for his teammates to eventually push up towards that B flag. That's exactly how I expected Ultra to play it, and now they put themselves up in a 2-1 advantage.
Yeah, and I gotta be honest, like I said, it was kind of a few different moments for me kind of throughout this this domination for the Ravens where it looked as if there just wasn't enough pressure, or as if whenever a push was kind of being initiated, there just wasn't enough legs to kind of get it done. But again, it's the Ultra walking away with this domination as we kind of assumed that they would. And now we're kind of thinking about this next hardpoint, right? It is this question of, can the Ravens stay alive? Can they keep this series? Can they force the Game 5 search and destroy? Because I'll be honest with you, Study, I think it's kind of fair to say if the Ultra win this game for Hardpoint, of course they're going to win the series. But I think if London do it, if they were to walk away with this one over on Hackney Hardpoint, we talk about that Game 5 search and destroy. You kind of like the chances for the Ravens on that map specifically, especially kind of given their history on a map like Gunrunner S&D. I think you like it, but it's about making sure that you can get there in the first place for the Ravens. It is about winning that one respawn, and I'm curious to see if it can be this one here on Hackney.
Well, going into Hackney, the way that the Ultra played that first map, they were just able to break every hard point, even when they didn't have rotation. So especially on Hackney Yard, you know, that first P1 hill is going to be junky, but rotating towards that P2, if the Ravens have it set up and they're not able to at least get a great hold for at least 30, 35 seconds and then eventually work that rotation, then I expect Toronto to be able to walk away with this. They had flawless execution on that first map when it came down to breaking those hard points or even rotating early, setting up pinches perfectly. So if you're the London Royal Ravens, obviously you're down 2-1 in the series. You need to go out and give it your all. Zero's stepping up tremendously for the roster, but in these moments, I'm definitely looking for Scraps and Wuskins, you know, that brother duo, to step up when they need to.
Yeah, that's a great call, man. Scraps and Wuskin, the brother duo, the twins, they've been absolutely electric as of late, as we get to see what Scraps in our PlayStation 4 damage dealt leaderboard, but it's actually Dylan who leads the way throughout that game one. Hardpoint finishes off with 3,518. Shawnee was right there, but in the end, it was the Toronto Ultra who walked away with that one pretty convincingly, despite what the damage will show you. Climax, his presence was absolutely felt, but as the Ultra, the do come out clutch, and we go from one Hardpoint now to the next. As you kind of called it out, it is really going to be on that twin duo, I think, specifically here for London. I'm also kind of curious. We saw Dylan do a lot when it comes down to the damage in that first hard point. He's been a player that has been talked about so often in result with the Ravens, is that he's not the same Dylan that we saw back in Black Ops 4 with Reciprocity. I think it's fair you can kind of blame a lot of that on a number of different things, from the way the game plays to just a number of different things. But just in general, his presence hasn't been that same way. But at time study, we have seen Dylan start to take over. And I think if he can be that difference maker, if he can come out hot early, especially on that Hackney hardpoint, we talked about P2 and P5 specifically. If he can be a difference maker up close, I like London's chances.
Yeah, man, talking about Dylan, this is a player on Reciprocity last year who was single-handedly winning them games. When it came to hard points, he was dropped in 50 left and right. When it came to search and destroy, he was being that aggressor, setting the pace, picking up 2 pieces and 3 pieces. Obviously, going into this game, his role changes a little bit. You know, you have players like Zero, players like Shawnee, and also Scraps, who are just able to fill in gaps when needed to. And Dylan's role so far this year, he's just the first one in and just trying to cause as much havoc as he possibly can. He knows when he needs to play his life perfectly. And when it comes down to this hard point right here, especially with that submachine gun, rotating towards that P4 hard point and that bottom green area is going to be so huge for me. You know, Dylan is one of those players that can go off at any moment, and his team really needs him to step up here.
Yeah, they definitely do. We take a look at that prizing payout structure. My goodness, man. $4.6 million, 1.5 for first. Yeah, $1.5 million. That is a lot of cash and a lot of pressure. Does kind of get associated with it, my friend. As like I said, if either of our teams do lose here, if you're a fan of the Ravens, if you're a fan of the Ultra, the loser of this series is not eliminated from playoffs, but they are going to be in that elimination bracket. And as time starts to kind of go along, it is not going to be fun when we especially talk about that losers bracket. You know, Study, as someone who has made a loser bracket run, is in contention and probably should be the greatest run of all time back in 2014 with Envy. How difficult is it, my man, to make that losers bracket run, especially starting in that early round position?
Yeah, so when you're starting in this early round position, going into losers bracket, you probably lose a close series to make it down to that bracket. But it's all about one match, one map at a time in that situation. You know, when I was back with that Envy roster, me, Nameless, Rambo, and Merc, you know, our main reliable game mode was search and destroy. You know, we weren't really a good domination team and weren't really a good blitz team at the time as well, but our search and destroy was our backbone. So it's all about one map, one mode, you know, one game at a time for this roster, whoever makes it to that losers bracket, because miracles can happen, and it's all about how you guys perform and how you guys look at it. You know, you might look at it as in, yo, we should have won the prior series, you know, we should have never been in this position, but you have to look at it like, I'm in this position now, what am I going to do about it? And it's all about one game at a time.
Look at this early play coming through from the Ultra. They send 3 through Office, and now they're in the midst of a fantastic flank that's currently going to continue, as they will pretty much instantly off the rip here, Study, grab those spawns, get them in their favor, and now they are set up for Tire Shop. If you've not watched the CDL throughout this season, it is constantly stated either on Hackney Dom or Hackney Hardpoint Tire Shop. This next Hardpoint is absolutely absolutely massive for either of these teams. It is one of the hardest to break in the entirety of Modern Warfare, and now that the Toronto Ultra are set up for it, it's going to be great for them. But hey, if you're London, if you're going to lose that spawn, at least get some time at P1, which is exactly what they're doing.
Yeah, that's perfect if you're London Royal Ravens. Unfortunately, you guys are not able to hold that spawn there, but picking up at least 45 seconds on the first hill gives you at least 2 to 3 pushes to try to break towards that tire shop. So you can't really look at it as a bad thing for the Royal Ravens. It all depends on if they're able to execute this break, because the way that Toronto Ultra just flipped that spawn, it can tend to get out of hand, because Toronto Ultra look like they're really confident so far, you know, riding that momentum from their previous home series win. You see climax stepping up 7-4 with that submachine gun, and it can get scary really quickly if you're not the London Royal Ravens and we're able to get a dominant hold on one of these hard points.
Yeah, that's without question, my man. Like we said, tire shop currently in the hands of the Ultra, as they'll be giddy to have this one in their hands, as that score is quickly going to go back the way of Toronto. We'll see if London has any attempts with 18 seconds left. Their idea of wanting to engage, their idea of wanting to maybe try and move on forward is most likely not going to occur, as they'll lick their wounds heading into the next set of rotations. But again, you like that if you were the Ultra, and really, it is again, Study, this early start from the Ultra in every single game that we have seen so far this series, whether it's been in Search and Destroy, Hardpoint, or Domination, they are coming out early and quick, and the Ravens, they're currently 0 for 4 and holding on and trying to deal with that early pressure.
Yeah, you see Toronto Ultra, you see climax currently sitting at 10-5, you know, having a flawless hold on that tire shop. Now it's all about how London Royal Ravens are going to be able to rotate early and pick up as much time as they possibly can. Metis is able to spot one player, climax able to go in for that trade, and this could be scary for London, man. They had the full rotations there. Unfortunately, the time is not going in their favor, but they do have that green control going into that P4 hard point with only 25 seconds remaining on P3. London so far, they're playing this beautifully with 4 kills going in their favor.
Meth's trying to do some work toward that backside, as now Office will be the main target for each of these teams, and this is where things can start to get a little bit sticky, right? It's about that P5 rotation. Every single player on these teams are pretty much just trying to be aware of that focus, trying to be aware of those spawns, as that's going to be Cammy looking to fight for it right now for Ultra. Enters into a big 1v1 engagement versus 0, manages to walk away with it. So if you are Ultra, you're currently getting that time. You actually are set up pretty nicely when we talk about that future rotation as well. You like this for the Ultra right now, but again, it's on London. If they can break on through, get some of this contest fest time, they're going to be in a good spot. Scraps is hoping to lead the way. We talked about the Twins coming in to this series. They didn't get to play at Champs last year with one another. We saw some, pretty much a very memorable photo of when Scraps got knocked out. He tried to support his buddy, his good old twin, Wuskin, throughout his run over at Champs. And now they're together supporting London. They've got a lot of pride on their side. And it's just a matter of, like you said, Study, one map at a time. If they can get things flowing, they're going to be in a great spot. And we'll see if London can keep it up, as they are lighting things up right now in Office.
Well, so far, so good, man. Before this hill even popped, Methods was in a big contested gunfight versus at least 2 to 3 of the Royal Ravens players trying to put that spawn going into P5. He was able to come out on top, picking up a couple kills. Obviously, Ultra lose that remaining junk time on that middle hill, but this is all you can ask for if you're Ultra. Same thing when it comes down to that P1 hill, rotating towards tires. If you're not able to at least get enough time there, you have the spawns going into the favorable position of the next hard point, and they're going to be hopefully able to have a lead change here. All the kills going in favor of the Ultra. London Royal Ravens need to find an opening here, at least find a kill. They're able to take down Cammy, pushing up that right side, but trades are just going in favor of the Ultra right now. They're able to swap out the lead, and climax once again, man, sitting at 16 and 11, just really setting the tone with that submachine gun. On the opposite side, you have 0, 17 and 11. They're both playing really well. It's a good first rotation of hard points, but I would like London Royal Ravens to at least execute their holds a little more, or play for the respective spawns for the hills that you know can be full 60s.
It's just trying to hold on to P2, right? That was the biggest issue for them throughout that first set of rotations. It was just how quickly they lost throughout Tire Shop. We'll see how aware they are of their flank when we talk about this next set of rotations, as the Ultra are up early. And as you talked about it, it has been climax. The story throughout the respawns, Toby has been absolutely dominant versus really anything that he's faced off against as of late. But this series is definitely one where He started to highlight themselves as running straight through the blender are a few of the Ultra players just trying to get out of that mid-warehouse position, but the Ravens are holding on well. They're not getting a whole lot of time at P1, but just in general, they're kind of okay with that, right? It's just kind of about holding on to that spawn for as long as you possibly can. Trying to break in right now is Dylan as he quickly gets shut down as well. Nothing answering right now for the Ravens. And again, it's kind of this back and forth conversation of if we're not going to have that next rotation, let's at least get time in this first one in warehouse, and the Ultra are doing exactly that.
Yeah, I love the way that the Ultra played this. You know, they didn't have the spawns going into the respective P2 hardpoint right off the rip, and they just decided, all right, let's just kill them all and just gain all this time and eventually push through. Gives themselves at least 40 seconds to try to get a contesting or a break on this next hardpoint. You know, a lead if the London Royal Ravens decide to hold this for a full 60, would only be by like 15, 20 points. And that's all you can ask for if you're Ultra. You held that first P1 hardpoint to the best of your abilities there. Now it's all about trying to execute a team push to try to break towards this P2 tire shot. A couple kills are going in favor of the London Royal Ravens. So far, they're having a good first hold and second hold as well to be able to hold this down. You see Scrap stepping up at an 18-11. When the team really needs him, he's showing up.
Yeah, Scraps, especially kind of toward the end of the season, has been absolutely fantastic for London. Really kind of throughout his last few years of his career has been looked upon as one of the best players in the game and started to answer the call, especially as of late here for London. Exactly when they need him to. He's been dominant, does get taken down through the middle of the map, but nonetheless, it is going to be London walking away with P2. Tire shot. They don't lose it this time around, but the one thing for Ultra right now is can they keep London in the back of their base ahead of Smokestack? Unfortunately, not going to be able to do that as Cammy's looking to map people. That is something freaky, but up close, Cammy does manage to drop. Dylan manages to hop inside of the hill for the time. And back and forth we go, Study, as this one very well is looking to go the distance.
Yeah, London Royal Ravens, they were able to hold a full 60 onto that P2. Now they also have that green control rotating towards P4. And this is where it can get really scary for the Ultra. You know, time is starting to go in favor of the London Royal Ravens. You have that back spawn for P5, but you need to be able to make sure you're rotating towards that green because that's where Royal Ravens were able to at least bring some points back. And they had a really good hold on the previous first set of hard points here. They're going to be able to hit the 200-point mark. As I say, that a teammate does come in from Vance onto Methods. But if you're early rotation and if you're the London Royal Ravens, this is a good setup right now. You have a player in CleanX who's trying to be a nuisance in this hard point. Washington's trying to stay alive. All the kills going in favor of Ultra. And this is where it can start to get out of hand. They have the spawns respectively for that P5 hardpoint. If they're able to put themselves at least 40 to 30 points away from winning the game, then the London Royal Ravens are going to need to break, and they need to break it soon.
They need to break, and unfortunately, looks like they might be a man down right now. Zero not moving on the map. We'll get confirmation on exactly what's occurring with it, but if you're the Ravens, we talk about the 6th Raven. Can they try to get behind their boys? Can London manage to make something special happen despite being a man down? It's unfortunate to see. Like, we'll kind of gain more information on what exactly is occurring with that, but Ultra up close. Classic manages to stay alive, takes down Dylan, and now that starts to get a little bit scary. If you are London, rotation has to be flawless. The rotation has to be on point, and Scraps is doing everything he can for the team. 26 and 15 just before we see him visit the respawn screen. The Ultra, they're set up for next. They've got 20 more points, and this one is theirs. Zero officially lost, and we'll see what London possibly has up their sleeve. Can they make the impossible happen? 10 more seconds left. Wuskin, everything he can to try to fire through the front door. Dylan toward the backside. He gets dropped as well. And with time ticking away, this map looks to be the Ultra. This series looks to be Toronto Ultras.
So Ultra, baby. So Ultra. They're able to close that out in a 3-1. You know, congratulations to the Toronto Ultra. They definitely played that well. Players like CleanX stepping up when it needs to. I was worried about when it came down to that search and destroy with Cammy not having a sniper, but he's obviously still able to put up double digits. Now, when we go back to that search and destroy, it's just that clutch factor, man. They had a lot of 2v2 situations that they weren't able to capitalize on, and that was one thing at their own home series where they were able to, and eventually were able to win it as well. So that only thing for me out of Toronto so far, when it came to the respawns, they looked absolutely beautiful. But when it came to that search and destroy, when it comes down to those clutch rounds, those cringe rounds that need to go down to the wire, unfortunately, they weren't able to close those out, but they still able to close out the series in a 3-1.
Yeah, managed to close out the series 3-1, and again, it's a hard one, right, for the Ravens. I know those guys have got to be feeling it. It was incredibly close down the stretch. As we have to take a look at our hardpoint reset rules, restart rules, excuse me, just kind of based off of the information that we know. They currently are not under that criteria, and this one will be going the Ultras' way. Again, it's hard study, right? It's hard, but at the same time, you have to kind of look at it and obviously claim the fact that it is the Ultras' victory, not the way that they want to get it done, but they do, in fact, managed to lock this series up and are still looking pretty solid, right? We have to kind of reference that this team pretty much throughout a majority of these maps did come out strong. I think there was a lot of pressure kind of on their shoulders to perform, especially after the Toronto home series. A lot of people kind of questioning, could they do it? Did they have the ability to do it? And at least in the maps that we got to watch, all the guys pretty much having different moments. A lot of players that were kind of hyped up coming into this match. climax is one of those guys for me. They lived up to the hype, and I'm excited to see what they can do throughout the rest of the playoffs.
Yeah, man. So Ultra, once again, man, just riding that momentum from their home series. You could just tell when it came to those respawns, they were really aggressive when they needed to. They executed their pushes. You hear the communication between climax and even Classic. Vance was telling them, oh, that's a great play, Nick. Like, you could just tell, like, they were just so far ahead and they're really confident between each other. And it definitely showed throughout their series.
Yeah, it definitely did. They look like a well-oiled machine. So Ultra, indeed, as like I said, they'll walk away with this series. Feeling pretty good. We'll take a look at the scuff play of the game. And again, it was kind of in this big moment kind of toward the stretch when the Ultra were kind of performing late here over kind of at that smokestack hill. They managed to get the rotation, and they're pretty much just trying to keep London in the back of their base. Granted, they don't have zero on the map to really kind of do a whole lot in this moment, but again, you like the rotation from the Ultra. They made the necessary adjustments, and they get the job done here in the end. But I guess what, so they kind of looking ahead, if you will, kind of throughout the remainder of the matches. I think it's going to be the Ultra. When we talk about the winners bracket side of things, I believe they are going to have a game versus the Mutineers, which should be an interesting one, right? We've kind of seen a few of these teams match up previously. How do you feel about the Ultra's chances kind of moving forward and against a competitor like the Mutineers?
Well, the thing about the Mutineers, this is a team that's overall great in every single game mode. We saw them have a lackluster last couple of home series where it came down to the slaying department. Havoc wasn't really having the best of his abilities, but this is a team that's won multiple home series, and this is also a team that Toronto has not beat at their own home series. They beat Chicago, they beat Dallas, they beat Atlanta, but they didn't beat the 4th team. So I'm expecting Florida to come out and show why they are still a top 4 team, and it's going to be a great series.
Oh, it is, man. It's going to be a fun one to watch. Again, the Ravens obviously enter into the losers bracket. We'll kind of see what possibly couldn't be inbound for them. But in the meantime, COD Mobile, by the way, it's a great game. You should probably play it. It's a fun one. But this Friday, be sure to tune in to the pregame show to catch our very own Maven Merc, Nameless, and Miles facing off in the first ever Call of Duty Mobile special exhibition presented by and played on Sony's Xperia smartphone study. I had a great time casting this with Lottie. I'm not going to spoil anything, but it is a fantastic exhibition to watch. A ton of different funny moments, and I tell you what, you get those 4 guys playing some COD, playing on some COD Mobile. It's always a fun time, and again, I highly recommend. Make sure to watch it. And there's some surprises in there. I'll just put it. There are some surprises. There are some matchups that I thought would go certain ways, and they didn't. That's all I'm going to tell you. But make sure to tune in for that. Again, study COD Mobile. It's a blast, and it's always fun to get the talent team involved.
Oh, yeah, man. COD Mobile, I remember I had the chance to actually play that as well. And it's just a whole bunch of classic weapons from old Call of Duty titles, old Call of Duty maps as well. It's just one of those games where if you want to go back in time and think you were 10 years younger, you definitely have fun playing it.
Oh, dude, absolutely right. I mean, I got a chance to kind of toy around with it a little bit, and I got the chance to talk to a little bit of the talent about it, kind of using those Xperia smartphones, and they had an absolute blast. They were kind of talking to me about a number of different things, the way the quality looked. It was a blast to watch. And again, like I said, you get those guys in a room together. It's always an interesting time. But again, kind of referencing back, this is our current bracket as we already talked about it. The Ultra, they get it done here versus the Royal Ravens, and they will advance to the next round versus the Mutineers. At the same time, the Royal Ravens will have another interesting EU battle versus the Paris Legion. The last time that we got to watch the Royal Ravens study was actually in a series that we got to cast. It went down to a Game 5, Round 11. Royal Ravens fans, I won't say anything other than that, but it was a fantastic series, and I'm looking forward to that rematch as well.
Yeah, man, I can't wait to see how Legion are able to perform. Yesterday with that 3-0 over the Surge, you saw Luka stepping up in search of destroy when he needed to. They just looked like a completely different team. And it was one thing that they needed to work on was their hard point, and it definitely showed in that series yesterday. Hopefully they're able to carry that on, especially versus the London Royal Ravens, who are a great hard point team.
Yeah, Paris looked fantastic. A lot of things to kind of be looking out for when we talk about the kind of future of the playoffs. But it's only day number 2, folks. We've got a number of different things to talk about, a lot of different exciting moments to occur. But one thing I will kind of ask you, Study, before we kind of send it off here, is kind of in reference about the Ultra. Again, we saw a number of different positive moments for them, but was there anything that you thought needs to be worked on, anything that you've seen recently from this team that you want to see improved upon? I know you talked earlier about the clutches, the way that they have kind of gone down to the wire a majority of the time, which does kind of worry you. Is that a big factor, you think, kind of looking on throughout the rest of the playoffs and their and what could be their future competition?
Yeah, no, it's definitely, for me, it's just a search and destroy. We saw them try to perfect that B push on Ramaza 3 times. You definitely need to develop more strategy if you're going to decide to play these maps that we're not used to seeing you guys on. You know, so they're trying to catch these opponents off guard. Obviously, the clutch factor has a big thing and going into that search and destroy for sure. But just mainly for me, they looked flawless in their hard points. They were able to break those hard points right off the rip when they needed to, even if they didn't have rotations. Even when it came to the domination, you saw they had multiple players with at least double-digit captures, and that just tells that they just have that communication on their side. They're set up properly to set up for a pinch, even put themselves in a great 3-crab situation. And hopefully, man, when it comes down to that search and destroy, like I said, their clutch factor and their mid-game adjustments, having more strategies on certain maps is definitely the only thing that I can see Toronto Ultra needs to improve on.
Yeah, they say, search and destroy wins championships. I think that has never been more relevant than it is right now. But again, I think one thing for me that I was really impressed with the Ultra is kind of climax stepping up, right? I mean, he was an absolute menace, especially in the hard points. And we talked about it as you're starting to kind of face off against kind of the top 4 teams. We talked about Chicago, Florida, Atlanta, Dallas. Those teams are very, very difficult, especially off the rip. And I think if you are the Ultra, kind of looking forward, having someone like Kleenex who was constantly stepping up for the team. It was about methods. It was about Cammy, those guys having big performances. But I think kind of having that third player, that guy who can be so dominant up close, I think especially kind of given the meta right now, given the way that a lot of our top teams work with how great those up close and fast SMGs can be, they can be the difference makers. And as you called it, they can be the ones who kind of set the tone. Kleenex did it here in that series. And I'm very, very interested to see if Kleenex can kind of keep that up and kind of keep on with that form that we saw him do exactly last year at Champs.
Yeah, I'm just mad he didn't drop 40 kills in that first hard point. Free burritos. That sounds so close. Good right now, man. Let me tell you. But if the Ultra are able to keep up that aggression between Cammy, between Classic and Kleenex, it's going to be a really difficult team to have. You know, this is a team who just won their own home series. They're coming in off a lot of momentum. Obviously, they're going to be going up against a top dog in the Florida Mutineers. And Florida Mutineers need to be able to respond quickly because the way that the Ultra just came out in that series, they looked a lot better.
What do you think about the Mutineers right now? I mean, like I said, they've been obviously a great team all year long. They've kind of had this stretch a little bit kind of toward the end of the season where maybe they haven't looked as good as they did kind of in that back-to-back situation. They now kind of come into Champs. There was a lot of talk on this roster specifically in terms of are they going to be able to keep that same level of aggression? Where is Havoc going to be at? Where is the team going to be sitting right now? I know it's kind of hard because there haven't been a lot of broadcasted scrimmages really kind of being released as of late. But what are your thoughts on the Mutineers right now and how they're going to face off against this very, very currently solid Ultra lineup?
I like the Mutineers, man. This is a team that's won multiple home series throughout this entire year. You know, ever since the addition of Pharaoh and Awakening, you know, these are 2 players who just came in and had an immediate impact. Awakening looks like one of the best players in the game just with his awareness and his shot. But when we're talking about this team, at the last 2 final home series, before that, they talked about how they had a little break from the home series that they weren't competing at, so they needed to get back in form. You know, they went through these previous home series and were just not the same team as before. You know, a lot of inconsistency shown in a couple players, especially Havoc for me. When I think about Havoc and Search and Destroy, he's that playmaker, that X factor, able to put himself in a position with those submachine guns, picking up 2 pieces left and right, and also in domination. He just wasn't having that performance, you know, being a nuisance at the opposing home flag, you know, just staying alive around the middle map area, especially on Gunrunner, around that bathrooms, around that pipes area. So if they were just able to get more consistent with their game modes, develop a couple more strategies when it came to search and destroy, then Florida, I would have to put them over in that series because they're top 4 team for a reason, and hopefully they're able to bounce back and show us why.
Well, hey, we're talking about a number of different series. Let's go and talk about the one that's going to be coming up next, right? It's day number 2 here at playoffs. A lot of hype coming into this series as well. One team has been hot and the other has not, right? We talked about the New York Subliners. We talked about the Minnesota Røkkr. One team has been on fire as of late, and that obviously is the Subliners, right? A team that's been looking great as of recently. They walk away with the New York home series W. They kind of, falter a little bit at the very next tournament. They get 3-0 by the Paris Legion. It doesn't matter, but still, the Røkkr, right? This is going to be a very hyped up team study kind of coming in today. They announced the fact that they're benching Guerrillas to bring in an Exceed. How do you feel about that changeup? And rather kind of give me your thoughts on this one here in this particular series.
Well, Nameless was talking about pacing when it came to Guerrillas, and that's exactly what was so wrong with the Røkkr. They just didn't have that fast pacing player that they needed to be able to keep the tempo up. And I think bringing in Exceed is a fresh of new blood, fresh comms, fresh everything out of this guy. And he's going to try to bring it all. Him starting for this roster at Call of Duty playoffs is going to be insane, man. And hopefully they're able to show why they made that proper adjustment.
Absolutely. Well, hey, we talked about it. The Ultra, they get the victory here versus the Ravens. Obviously, the Ultra fan base, they've got to be hyped. They've got to be pretty excited about this victory. And in fact, we've actually got Lottie standing by with Chef Tony himself.
I do indeed. Thank you very much, Lando and Study. I am with Chef Tony himself. Of course, Methods. It's so good to have you on, bro. And what a way to start playoffs for you guys. An epic battle that we saw against London Royal Ravens. And I've got to talk about, of course, your Hardpoints, because I feel like climax was a huge difference maker for you guys there. The engagements this guy was having on the map, cleaning up kills, allowing you guys to move and rotate accordingly was phenomenal. But you all seem very aggressive as well across the map too, which was really great to see. So what have you guys been kind of like finessing behind the scenes when it comes to respawns?
Yeah, I mean, I think we're playing with that same pace and passion that we did in our most recent tournament victory. It was just went back to preparing best as possible, sort of doing our research with other teams, and I think those first 3 maps were a hard-fought battle. Obviously, they had our number in their Monster Search and Destroy. They played it a little differently than expected, and obviously then in map 4, we ran into some unforeseen issues, and I won't sit here and say that we're super happy with that outcome. We're happy we won, but I just wish that there was something that could be done about things like this. This is the unfortunate reality of what we're doing, and I'm grateful to compete. At the same time, I'm gutted for my boys over there. So the first 3 maps were a good hard fought battle, and then the 4th map, I think it speaks for itself.
Absolutely. I wanted to quickly touch upon S&D though with you as well, Methods, because I feel like, there were times that we saw some phenomenal things from you guys and some kind of down to the wire situations through S&D, 2v2s and clutch ups that kind of needed to happen, but we didn't see you guys clutch up as much as maybe you guys could have. So is that something that you're going to try and work towards, going into the next couple of rounds through the brackets, and when you're coming up against opponents, maybe, this kind of thing needs to kind of be solidified by your team?
Of course. I mean, Search and Destroy is a very integral game mode where it's not as simple as practicing clutches. Sometimes a split-second timing can go in your favor or not in your favor. And that series, we didn't have much luck in the Search. A lot of 2v2, 2v3 situations, like you said. In our Toronto home series, obviously, it felt like every single situation was going our way. And I think one of the biggest issues when you do well in Search is you sort of have to revamp your whole gameplay and rethink your style of play, because everybody we play against has a lot of content to watch when it comes to our Search and Destroy gameplay. So just sort of adapting, making new strategies up, trying to figure out how we can sort of differ, use the same strategies we were before, but just a little bit of changes just to try to throw people off. We're just trying to find that healthy medium, and I think we learned a lot there in that Ramazan Search and Destroy, and hopefully we can, fine-tune it for the rest of the weekend.
Absolutely. It's been amazing to watch you guys, honestly. And honestly, a highlight for me throughout this season was actually you guys winning your home series. You did it in such a dominant fashion. You literally took down 3 teams of our top 4. That is absolutely huge. And then going on to win that as well in the finals. Great momentum coming into playoffs for you guys, but how are you feeling about facing the team you didn't see in your home series, which is the Mutineers, and of course haven't faced them really since their rise up this season?
Yeah, I mean, that the further you go in this tournament, the tougher the matches will be. We're playing against champions who have proved their worth and how good they are, and it's not going to be easy. We need to prepare as best as possible. It's also weird because obviously, because of our potential matchup, we didn't really practice against them for the past few weeks, so it's sort of like both teams have no idea what to expect. So it should be a bloodbath. I'm excited for it. You know, these are the games that you live for, and you know, I'm just excited to play some more Call of Duty.
Love it. Thank you so much, Methods. It's been a pleasure speaking to you as always, and I absolutely loved you cooking up a storm for us earlier on in the video we all watched. Your chef skills are ones that can't be doubted. So love that. Keep cooking, man. Keep frying on the battlefield as well, though. So thank you so much, Methods. That's been your instant reaction presented by PlayStation. We are heading to a break right now, but when we come back, boy, do we have a matchup. It's New York Subliners taking on Minnesota Røkkr. You don't want to miss it.
TeamSpeak, the official broadcast communication partner of the Call of Duty League. The US Army, what's your warrior? PlayStation 4, the official platform partner of the Call of Duty League. Call of Duty League is brought to you by Metro by T-Mobile. Rule your day with the #1 brand in prepaid. Gaming, the official controller of the Call of Duty League. Call of Duty League is brought to you by Metro by T-Mobile. Rule your day with the #1 brand in prepaid. The United States Air Force. Learn more at airforce.com.
Save money at the restaurants you love with Grubhub Perks. Use code CDLPlayoffs at checkout to get free delivery.
In every battle, there is a moment. Most don't even see it. But for others, it's all they see. That move, that shot that separates legend from afterthought. That instance between your name heard round the world and total, deafening silence. Every moment, every battle only has two outcomes. And when it happens, only you can decide what is yours. And now the true battle begins. With all eyes on you, there's no time to rest. No time for excuses. The moment is now. So it's put up or shut up. It's time to prove without a shadow of a doubt that your best is as good as gold. And the only thing that drives you more than the thrill of victory is the fear of being forgotten.
And there's the hype! How many men is he gonna run through? That was just easy dominance. They did it!
Here, on the ultimate proving grounds, Call of Duty's elite converge. When that moment stares you in the face, you'll know one thing. Glory isn't given. Glory isn't easy. Glory is taken.
Ladies and gentlemen, hello and welcome back to the CDL playoffs, and now, lo and behold, possibly the sexiest trophy in esports right now. Big fan of how this one has gone down. One game done today, and now we've got ourselves one more. A lot of fun to be had here as we've got ourselves the New York Subliners.
No, hey, it's going to be look, it's already been a very interesting playoff so far. It's already been a very interesting day, and if you like interesting things, I don't expect it to stop anything or anytime soon, let's say. And one of the biggest storylines, one of the biggest unknown quantities we have, what we're going to learn more about in this series. Minnesota obviously is coming in. They made a roster change and playing with the Exceed, so it's already going to be confusing and a lot to figure out, but of course, let's just jump straight into the game fuel keys to victory. Starting with the New York Subliners. Well, they've already played this matchup twice on the year. They've beaten Minnesota 3-0 and a 3-1, and they have a team KD of 1.2. So they've been feeling great already. So basically, it's just about keeping that ball rolling. Of course, though, the issue for this team has been if they see a Game 5, it has not been the best thing for them. 1-6 in the Game 5s for the S&D. And the funny thing about that is actually in the round 11s, they're 6-0. So it's not even a description of them not being clutch. It's just one of those very strange things. But again, for New York, they have been fantastic as of late. Effectively, once they picked up Mac, they have turned their year around. So they just need to keep the ball rolling. And of course, for the flip side for Minnesota, a lot more chaos. Of course, Exceed, the young man there on your stream, his second COD champs to date. And some of their game fuel keys to victory. Don't kill your own momentum, right? They have one of the best win percentages in those game number ones, and that's of course the entire year. Even when this team has been struggling, the game ones they have been on point. Unfortunately, though, there is that very quick drop off. The game 2 win percentage, 8-20, not ideal, second worst in the league. And of course, we talked about the young man Exceed stepping in for God RX. The main description that was given by the team as to why they made this change, it was a pacing issue. They did not feel that they had the right speed with all the different patches that have come throughout the year. And while all these other teams have been improving, Minnesota was struggling. So they're looking for that very strong switch up. And that, of course, is something we're going to touch on throughout the day. Of course, though, we also have our predictions coming in. I think Miles was in the same sort of mental headspace that I was for this. Definitely favoring New York for the series, right? It's the only thing that makes sense, of course, with Minnesota being the unknown quantity. So I'm going with 3-1 New York for this one. I just think they're too strong. We've seen them too much over the past few weeks of just consistently looking good across the board. The coaching staff that they have on this team, they're going to be incredibly well prepared for search and destroy. They're going to have those custom-made strats. And even still, just to get a little bit ahead of myself and talk about the picks and bans, the map 3 we're seeing for this one, St. Petra of Domination, New York has never played it a single time this entire year, which to me just means that they've cooked something up. They've been grinding this map and that they're going to be very well prepared. So New York is a team I put a lot of stock in, and I'm pretty sure Miles' head was pretty much in the exact same spot. And to me, it's the only thing that makes sense. Minnesota, we just simply do not know what we're going to see. Obviously, Exceed again. The pacing is what they're looking for in the respawn game modes. But to take it a step further, once we get to those search and destroys, we're going to be seeing an Arklov Peak and a St. Petrograd S&D for the game 2 and 5, respectively. Both of those are sniper maps. They don't have God RX anymore. They're going to have either strategies around not playing with the sniper at all, or someone is going to have to try to fulfill that role that God RX has been on point with all year long. So it is a massive learning moment, I would say, for us with this team to figure out exactly what they are going to look like. But obviously, they're trying to turn their year around. It has been a struggle over these past few months. So it is that last-ditch effort. You have one good tournament, or if there's any one good tournament you need to have, it might as well be at COD Champs. That is where you need to be at your best. And of course, Exceed, the perfect man to watch here on Ramaza to see exactly what he's going to be able to pull off. And frankly, for him, in my mind, it's important that he just gets off not necessarily to a hot start, but just a strong enough start to get the ball flowing, to get used to this team in that tournament environment, and just make sure that you're going to be ready to go with this new squad. And pretty much the perfect opening break as well. You get the clean wipe in the feed. You get all of that early time. And already New York, they can feel that pressure. They got 4 guys attempting to flood this hill on the flip side. Meanwhile, Attach, being that sneaky man, is going around for spawns to know, because they know how difficult it's going to be. And Exceed in the hill, 3-0 again. As good of a start as you need to ask for this team. As long as he's at least, sort of keeping up, doing that average, that should be job well done. New York, though, on the re-break, a couple of ARs popping up in the kill feed. They're able to get control of the hill. But frankly, for Minnesota Røkkr, as long as they sniff Attach out and go and hunt this man down, they're going to be good to set up for new. They had a pretty fantastic first hill to build themselves at least a small little lead. And of course, Attach is going to fall. Again, job perfectly well done. The execution on the rotation was perfect. And Minnesota has that 8-point lead going into this hill number 2. Exceed attempting to be that cutoff man. Yes, he's going to fall, but already has 6 kills to his name. Exactly what you'd love to see if you're a Røkkr fan. And well, now New York, you got to figure out something. Try to deal with the poison of this hill to make this break. Accuracy on the, top side of the map at the very least is working on some cutoffs, but Røkkr just need to avoid him. Don't have to deal with him in the slightest. And well, they do deal with him. And now New York, the pressure all has to come in from the bottom side of the map. It's going to be effectively a flood. Zoom is going to get cut down. This is a ton of just one player falling after the other one by one. And with 25 seconds left, this is effectively do or die to even attempt to get the scrap time. As soon as Temp is going to fall, New York, they get out of dodge, they leave and set up for this rotation. So if you're a Røkkr fan and was worried about how this match is going to look, at the very least, you get a very strong start from this new team. Build themselves about a 60-point lead going into P3. Of course, though, on that rotation, Temp picking up a couple kills in New York. They have that nice little spread almost across that 50-yard line. Of course, players coming off spawn as well. But you have the one man inside the hill. Accuracy, he just gets to post up and wait. As players start to fall over on the tunnel side of things, that's where New York is going to be spawning up to pay attention to. But frankly, the map clearance that New York has right now is on point. Zuma is pushed up so aggressively on the map that these players are just going to run past him. He's going to be allowed to make the play, and Accuracy still just dancing inside the hill, has all the time in the world. Doesn't even need to take the gunfight because his teammates have him covered. You talk about the turnaround New York needed so far on this hill, they're going to get it. And finally, that Minnesota is able to get to this hill. That's the step 2. Step 1 is getting to it. Step 2 is actually winning the gunfight in and around the point. And you can see New York doing a much better job making sure they can hold on to it. And they have gotten themselves right back into this game. Pretty fantastic job overall, I'd say. New York doing their best to make the comeback, but one of the themes that we have seen develop over the past few months is the trap that can get set up on this hill. It's the setup that New York is now going for again, that 50-yard line of the map, just making sure that they can contain New York in their spawn. So already 10 seconds have gone by. New York as a team have just now left this hill. Even if they win these gunfights, it takes them another 15, 20 seconds before they can actually get into construction. And you can see along the way, the bodies are falling. Asim is able to pick up a couple. Silly's there as well. And finally, New York, after 25 seconds, have gotten one player near construction. But obviously, unless Temp is able to make some sort of miraculous hero play, which maybe here's the start of it, able to pick up one inside the hill, but he knows it. There's no clearance that he can actually get inside this point. His teammates are still busy effectively being spawned trap at the old hill, and that is again just a perfect hold from the side of Minnesota. And funnily enough, this is actually just kind of an interesting look at the game of Modern Warfare as well, right? It is Minnesota started on the advantageous side because of the way the hills rotate. It is two hills that they play very well. New York basically get the guaranteed spawn over for the P3 hill. They hold that for a full 60, and it's just full 60s back and forth the whole way through. But just to acknowledge Exceed once again, the main storyline for this team. 15 kills to his name, still lighting up the kill feed, still keeping up that level of production, and obviously we see that in the scoreboard. Of course, though, New York, though, same thing. Ton of full 60 as we have seen so far. They are inside a tunnel, going for that stronghold, and they have the cutoff as well. Alex, as soon as he tries to make a move, he's going to get chopped down, and maybe more importantly, talk about the players potentially either picking up the weapons or switching back and forth. Anytime Zuma is in the feed with an M4 picking up kills left and right, you know that they're going to have the strategy for whatever hill, whatever situation the players are going to need. Once again, it's just the full 60 battle, and that has been the story, I would say, of the first half of this game. Every single hill that either team has gotten there first, they have gone for the very strong hold, and now accuracy up top is thinking about the rotations. New York currently have the better spawn, but obviously Minnesota, a ton of pressure over around construction and inside the hill. These players just need to stay alive, and that's what Temp's going to be going for, right? He wants to make sure he stays on the left, attempt to block those spawns for the Røkkr, and make sure that they can be set up for P2. And of course, that means for Temp, while he's doing that on the left side, his teammates need to fight in from the front. But AR number 3 at times for this team, Silly up top construction. You can see the dance that he's trying to pull off, stay alive as long as possible. Maybe a cheeky angle on attach, not enough to get the kill. It eventually does get taken down, but a very scrappy hill. This P1 has been, at least this time around. It looks like New York, all the effort they put onto attempting to flip the spawns has not been successful. But the fortunate part for them is they are looking in a pretty good spot right now to get those final 15 seconds of scrap. A couple players making that last-ditch effort from the side of Røkkr, but not too successful. And now it's about Zuma. He says, hey, teammates, we just won that P1. All of us are potentially going to be coming together. Maybe we make a team push. Maybe we push out solo. And either way, no success. So York Subliners, effectively just made the trade. Put all that pressure on the P1. We were never successful on making that rotation. But this is the nitty-gritty. Those moments where they struggled to break P2 last time around, it is effectively the exact same hole Røkkr are trying to set up for themselves on P2. Assault in the back with the M4, trying to lock it down. All of those SMGs inside the point, but as one AR gets dropped on the flip side, Silly trying to be the guy to slot in, and well, even though he falls, Røkkr able to keep the spawns, able to keep the hold, and this is deja vu all over again. The Subliners barely able to encroach and contest on that P2 hill for any moments at all, which of course is not great for the scrap time, but of course, we saw this exact same story once before. His accuracy, able to throw up a nice little quad feed. They're going to be able to get that rotation. And it's the exact same situation we've seen from both of these teams. Can you actually break the hill? This is a potential moment of the game right now for the Minnesota Røkkr. If they're able to break through on this barbershop by like the 32nd point, let's say, they will be in a fantastic spot to win this game. Fortunately for them, though, if New York just get another full 60, then it's just that back and forth we're dealing with. Attach that roaming slayer. Again, the pressure that New York has been able to put out away from this hill just to be those roaming slayers, to be those cutoff guys, just buys your teammates inside the hill so much time. But now New York, or Minnesota, actually on the approach. So many players on the top side. The team kill, though, it's going to be a bit of a dagger that makes Zuma's job so much easier. He plays aggressive, drops Silly over on the outset, and this is just looking like another full 60 once again plan we have set up. And while all of this is happening, Attach, this is the second time we have seen him do this. He has gotten behind enemy lines, and that effective trap that we know the Røkkr were going to want to try to set up on this barbershop hill. Attach is that key guy potentially to alleviate that pressure from his teammates. He's got to be the playmaker. It's all about when he wants to make his move and try to break through on this hill. I'm not too sure if Røkkr are aware of it. You see Silly's maybe watching a little bit of a cut, and Exceed is nearby. They're hanging out inside the hill, but Attach gonna play it nice and aggressive. This is the moment. He's actually got a teammate Zuma that spawns with him, and he's playing this smart. He's going up top, taking his time, allowing his teammates to get that pressure. He's cut around to the steps, but Exceed is there and ready. He is going to drop him, take care of the first one, but now the reinforcements for the New York Subliners are in. Mac inside the hill with the M4, able to take 3 down along the way, and the first true hill break we have really seen so far this entire game is by the Subliners. They're in, they're through, lighten up the kill feed as well. Max still has 4 to his name. Zuma's gonna fall, yes, but the teammates are there, and Røkkr oh so far away. It's only Silly, the lone man for his team right now inside the hill, and Attach, the man who made the play at the start, the man who got Zuma those spawns nearby, and with 10 seconds left, they can win it here. So Røkkr, they gotta rotate, but they also have to contest. Nobody is cruelly nearby, getting cut off along the way, and that might be the story of the game. You break one important hill, you get the win, 250-228, New York Subliners, and holy dear God, the longest run on sentence in human history, but they pull off the win, which is so much more important. The play of the game will tip the cap to accuracy, and it was the nice quad feed that he picked up. Frankly, the man that went 10-14, that seemingly did nothing for his team. If you look at the stat line, made one of the more important plays. He found out a way to make sure to help his team get that rotation from the barbershop over towards construction, even if it's just to have someone spawn near you. It's little plays like that that obviously do not always get the recognition, because 10-14 does not look overly fantastic, but hey, hell of a game. Number one, I would say, from the New York Subliners, down by maybe 70 or 80 points, it seemed like early on in the game. They were able to pull it off and go big, and a hell of a way to start as well. And interestingly enough, of course, on the flip side, to touch on how the Røkkr looked, Exceed, I mean, pretty fantastic, right? 24-25, had a very nice start to himself as well. But there's only so much you can do, even if the pacing is going to be fixed. So good look so far. Obviously, the Røkkr do not get the win. Of course, later on we'll be going into an Arklaw Peak S&D, which in my mind is super interesting of how they're going to play it without GodRx on the team. But before we get there, we do have the Air Force Quickscope and take a look at the maps and modes between these two teams. Actually, I'm going to have to pull up the other RSAC thing just to see what it actually looks like, so I know what I'm talking about. Whew, a lot different. Now you can see 13 and 17 matches, incredibly comparable between these two teams. Maybe just a slight bump in the New York Subliners' favor. Of course, though, that is definitely the course of the entire year that we're seeing there with that quickscope, rather than, of course, just the recency bias, because obviously recently, New York Subliners, it is a lot easier to be positive on the storyline that is going on in their camp. But here's a look at the U.S. Air Force maps and modes as well, and it's that game 2. Honestly, everything about the Hackney Yard Hardpoint is pretty interesting, right? Both of these S&Ds are sniper-heavy maps, where obviously Minnesota, that is the player on their team that they benched, someone that was fantastic with a sniper all year long. So very interesting to see how they are going to adapt with that, either just slotting in a player to use the sniper and effectively fulfill the same role, or if they just want to treat it differently and say, hey, we don't have the sniper anymore, but we have that extra aggressive SMG in our back pocket. Let's find new ways to play these maps and try to catch these teams off guard and make it very difficult to game plan on the New York camp. But of course, that St. Petrograd domination as well, super interesting, because the Subliners have not played it all year long. And Miles, for the love of God, tell me your mic works.
I think it does. Ladies and gentlemen around the world, a round of applause for Thomas Chance Ashworth.
Yeah, okay.
Mate, that was a roller coaster, dude. Well done.
Bro.
That was a full hard point.
Yeah, all right, dude. Let's just talk about SD. Let's just go. Let's just go. Do your thing.
You give yourself a break. I've got a peek coming up next. We've got a fun one in the middle of the series. Again, New York have not played Dom, I believe, on Petro all year long. So this is going to be very, very interesting. But we'll get to the Arctic Peak search and destroy first. Damn, man, this has been one hell of a week for many reasons. We hope you're enjoying the show. And my mentions are full of clearly London fans asking a lot of questions. I haven't got any answers for you, mates. But if I did, you'd be sure we'd be spewing it all over the stream. But mate, well done. That was a very, very exciting Hardpoint, man. I did not expect that to go the way it did.
5 minutes into it that I just didn't take a breath. It's just a run-on sentence. It's in the middle of solo casting. You're trying to figure out the proper ways to make sure your inflection that is just on the fly.
Mate,
we'll see how you
honestly,
did. It was all right.
Well done, truly well done. I've only had to do it once before, but anyway, let's get on with business now. Chance, it's time for our Grub Hub picks of the day. I'm just in time for the real good stuff. I'm just in time for that sweet magic. But I'm gonna hold on to this one. Lando went with Kleenex from Toronto Ultra earlier on today, but I've got that. We'll deal with that later. Zuma though, he was my pick. You went with this duo attach, mate, and I like that. I truly do. Two players who have shown up at champs time and time again. I mean, the last time I saw a crazy run out of these boys, I think it was back in World War II when they were on FaZe, man, when Crowder was still playing, and man, they had a terrifying run there. But mate, I think attach, good call. The first map of the series so far has been very, very exciting and a real fun one. But mate, I don't even know where to start. What a crazy, crazy day this has been already. I think you did a man's job.
I'm proud of that Grubhub pick of the day, by the way. Attach, again, 10 and 14, 30 seconds in the hill doesn't seem great, but he made the play. I'm telling you, he was the key guy. Again. That's why I picked him.
Mate, he really did. Time and time again, he was always in from behind picking up those kills. Right, let's have a quick look at our pictures for our Grubhub picks of our lunches. Mate, I think I'm going up first. I had myself frozen yogurt last night for dinner, mate, because I'm a grown-ass man and I can have whatever I want for dinner, but I also made this sort of little creepy garden scene there. I've got this fake AstroTurf on top of my cardboard box table. I've got myself a gnome's hat on. There's me from a distance. And as you can see, I created a little woodland scene involving what I can only describe as what I think is a vole. And there was some mushroom eating hedgehogs there. Kind of tells you what sort of night I may or may not have been having there, but it was a fun one, brother. What did you go? Oh, what is that?
Look, Miles, I had to solo cast without you for 10 minutes, and I miss you so much, and I know exactly how valuable you are, and I just missed you so much. I needed to make sure that I had more experiences with you. So I did the best I could. I took, honestly, a fairly sensual picture of you with your sushi, just to make sure that I could be as friendly as possible and be prepared for when I am once again back in your presence. I want nothing more than that. I'm so glad you're back. And yeah, I have honestly, the best part of that picture, by the way, the lady's face at the photo center, when she pulled it out, looked at me, and she was like, "That's not you, is it?" And I said, "No, ma'am." And then she just laughed in my face. It was a great time. It was a great time.
Dude, I don't know what to say. Well, do what you can to give back to local restaurants. Again, Grubhub are doing what they can. And from the times of 5 until 9 p.m. in your time zone, Grubhub, you're going to get $10 off orders of $30 or more. Go to the perks section of the app. And whether you've got a long-lost love and a black and white photo frame, or whether you're living in some kind of strange, small animal fairy garden situation, please enjoy your food, socially, distantly responsible. I've cried a little bit, dude. I cried just a tiny bit. I might have to redo my makeup. But wow! What a Grubhub pick section that was, Chance. It's only getting better, dude. Right, let's get on with the games, though. We've got that Search and Destroy and Arctic Peak coming up, mate. You did a man's job there, and I will say, I don't know what to say anymore. It's just hysterical. But we do have some fun ones still coming up. The rosters are on their way, and again, if you have just joined us, this is not an elimination matchup. These two teams, they'll be playing for a spot going forward into the bracket. The losers will drop down to the losers, and they will be playing OGLA, I believe. But first and foremost, let's meet the New York Subliners.
The Stallion is frying. The Stallion is cooking. He's gotta go, and attach gets it done.
I'm ready to play now. Put me in the game now. I came here to prove it. I'm ready to do it. I can't be afraid now. Put me on the stage.
Zoom again. 1, 2. Has he got any more here? 3.
Subliners player of the game. The Subliners moving on to Saturday with a
oh my God! He's still going.
There are so many players from Dallas here, but he doesn't need help. He doesn't need help with the pistol. He's able to stay alive. That's going to be 5 dead. Mac going big. They call him Big Mac.
Hands up. My time, my time. None of you people can tell me to stop. This time, like the last time, you better get ready to race to the top.
try to flip this funds for second and hold on to this, but 3 go down. With the turn and burn, that's going to be 4 dead. The hill wide open. Max is going to get on it. Max is going to win 2 gunfights.
Lower the lights down. Hand over my crown. Hand over my heart. I do this for my town. I do this for my crowd. So turn me up real loud. My time, my time. None of you people can tell me to stop.
The New York Subliners, they've had an interesting year, that's for damn sure, but again, the addition of Mac Melts to the roster. Mackenzie Kelly has made a tremendous turnaround for this squad, and now 1-0 up in the series, they're looking to go all the way. Can they make a deep run at champs? I truly believe they're one of the teams that may or may not have the ability to go on those runs, Chance, but hey man, it's been very, very interesting nonetheless. Now, another team, their opponent, who we've already seen that map number 1, but a team that's had a very difficult year so far. Strong start. Can they close out the year big? This is Minnesota Røkkr.
When the biting winds blow from the north, when the warmth of the sun fails, a new age will be upon us. Ragnarok, the end. We are the end.
Minnesota Røkkr are hosting a watch party right now in their Discord with giveaways and gameplay analysis. So visit their Twitter for a link to join the Discord and hang out with Røkkr fans and staff. One of the teams that we have definitely been seeing doing this plenty well throughout the year. They were doing it in bars, they were doing it in various locations when, you could do that sort of thing in the planet. And Chance, you spent a fair amount of time in Minnesota, mate. It was a wonderful place to be.
Honestly, dude, it really is. Like, everyone just criticizes the state because of how cold it is, but as long as you can, honestly wear just good enough clothes, it is a beautiful state, wonderful for outdoors. If you like lakes, they got those. So Minnesota's great, and more importantly than the state, I think the organization has been killing the game as well. The watch parties have been fantastic. The content pieces they've been putting out have been fantastic. So I'm definitely a fan.
What we need now is a big turnaround for them later on in this year, because again, it's been a solid start, but with the transition to online COD, it has not been the smoothest of plays there for Minnesota Røkkr, but now Exceed on the roster, not a bad series here. Again, the hard bit of a slugfest, but Search and Destroy, this should be, again, the big difference. Again, we see GodRx leave Exceed come in, who's a fantastic AR, but you also make a very decorated there. So I wonder, as a game 2, if that will hurt Røkkr too much.
And again, I think the biggest question for me is whether or not they're going to have someone just to fulfill the exact same role, go for the same sort of generic snipes. That way they can keep all of their same strategies that they've been working on improving all year long, or whether or not they're just going to throw it at the wall and say, hey, we now have an opportunity to maybe catch all these other teams off guard, play way more aggressive than we usually are going to be able to pull off, and try to figure out new ways potentially to play these maps and see if they can have success with it. So I'm curious to see, and you can already see Exceed. Hey, he says anything GodRx can do, I can at least attempt to do better. He did play incredibly well on this map number 1, and we get a look at the boomstick from him in his hands already on Arklov.
I mean, it's his big shoes to fill. There's no doubt about it. But here we go. See, with that snipe in hand. The first one's a miss. We'll let that one slide, but again, it's still an A push now from that bomb. You see him right through the smoke he goes. Oh boy, I'm not sure if he appeared or he wanted to there on the other end of that smoke push, but here we have it. A little bit of ground gained here, but Zuma on the flank. Trying to find these openings. Mac with a nice nade over the top. Won't catch anything there, so you still have to be thinking the play could be towards B. That's where Assault's going to be right now, hitting that flank as well. So, potential now for a little bit of action. As many New York Subliners players, the 3 of them have started to reinforce this point on A, and the opening shots from Attach is also going to be a miss. The smoke's going to be going down, and it's going to be a fight. Will they be able to get the bomb down there? Assault, he hit the flank now. The timing could be fantastic. Blood goes to Silly, but Assault gets very, very quickly. Chance final thing. He gets one on the board as well, and it could be a perfect round. It's on accuracy, and a great start there from Minnesota Røkkr.
Great start. Again, and perfection is about the best word you could possibly use, right? That was tailor-made. You could see it being developed from the start. We're not going to play the bomb down. We're not going to let anybody get picked off. We're going to take our time and make sure that we wait until Assault gets that flank in. And as soon as he's there, now you can go for that break. You can start playing the bomb. You can start challenging these gunfights, because even if a player or two is going to fall, as soon as Assault picks up that first kill, now New York has to hit the panic button. They have to be super reactive to their plays. And frankly, no one even needed to fall. It was everybody when they're one-on-ones. Exceed hit the shot that he needed to, and a phenomenal opening round.
Lovely starts. Now the Subliners sprinting forward. Exceed narrowly missing that jump shot there. Zuma's going to get the first blood, and man, he's aggressive. He's going in. He's going to maybe find a second one out of this, and can he get it done? Yes, he's just going to be on the other side of this board. There's Silence is almost loaded up there. He actually managed to get through the trench with his loud shoes on, and now laying prone. Exceed. So sort of a lovely time there on the back push. Zuma's going to find another one there up top. You know, the pistol ringing out behind him. Zuma now in a position to maybe find another one. However, it's a 3 versus 3. Very awkward positions right now, as Assault is pinched in between 2 players. There's going to be the kill from Attach from the hit with the pistol. Lovely work. Slight advantage now. Still pressure over towards that A-bomb site, and it's going to be accuracy on the flank with Dead Silence. He may be able to catch something. Asim's trying to make a play of his own now as well through Broken, and it's just flank after flank. Who's going to be able to hit this one first? 30 seconds.
Up top with the sniper again. They know he's there, but you still got to slide past, and he's able to drop one to make it a 2v2. And keep in mind right now, Asim behind enemy lines finds the first, and the shots revealed the next player. Zuma has 15 seconds left.
Oh, Zuma takes a tag. He's going to get shot once. A quick turn. This is a beautiful play. Zuma goes down. Røkkr with another round.
It's great stuff. And flanks on flanks too, by the way, right? Like now Zuma's got to be worried about Asim. They had no idea he got behind enemy lines, and maybe honestly a bit too long to figure out what the situation was, because as soon as accuracy gets all the way around and clears out everything on site, they should probably know that Exceed is going to be up in top Grandma's. They know that that one player is there, but they never quite reacted in time to the fact that their flank was open. They didn't have eyes on Asim, and Asim, of course, makes the perfect play, cuts through the middle, starts shooting players in the back, and then once gets the call out that Zuma's one shot, no fear on the challenge to fly out aggressively.
No fear in that though, Josie. Finds another man. That's a nice bit of work from Zuma. 2 for 2. No kills to Mac temp and accuracy just yet, but plenty you can change there. Exceed. Pulling this snipe right through mid. We haven't seen this much throughout the year, and this is that fresh blood that Exceed's bringing into the squad. Attach. I think he just caught the cankle of a seam there as he goes down. Now Saul's going to pick up that bomb. Attach is now going to maneuver out here with the X50 and watch the cut through middle.
Still though, he does have to be worried about his hatch over up top, or at least back trenches as well, because Attach obviously phenomenal with the sniper too, but you hear the time ticking down. 25 seconds left. Minnesota, they need to go. See you in the next round, Tim.
Nice shot from Exceed.
Dude, Exceed, by the way, has been godlike so far, right? Like, obviously, the first Hardpoint does not go their way, but even still, he threw up a pretty decent stat line, decent time in the hill. And then talking about needing the guy to come in and hit your shots, because I know I sort of ran with the little tagline of, are they going to mix it up and not use the sniper or try to slot in the same role? On a map like Arklov, you are going to be at a disadvantage if you don't have someone sniping fairly consistently, so there is still a little bit of pressure to at least attempt it, and Exceed has done that and more so. 4-0 to his name, a couple pick stats round, and that's in spite of the first blood that Attach got, which, by the way, was able to do that from an angle that I think that's the first time we've seen a snipe hit from that shot. So while Attach is next level, Exceed right now definitely trying to one-up the young man. Of course, Exceed, you can find those first bloods of first picks. Well, now it's going to be a necessity as accuracy gets that first blood.
Good stuff again. I think I'm back. Zuma now, he making his way through that low trench side. Just got one player to his left of him to back him up. If Alex peeks this, he's a dead man, but Exceed, once again with the snipes. We worried if he was going to be able to truly replace the missing skill set from Guerrillas, and he's doing it right now with a plum. No. The transition through mid, but the bomb's still being made through the trenches. Mac's going to get the kill on the immediate trade of Zuma. Temp through the smoke. Lovely work. Temp on the second as well. And there's the snipe from Exceed. It's all on Exceed now. Lovely shots down range, and that's it. Subliners finally get on the board.
And an incredibly important bounce back round as well. Being down 4-0 makes it seem almost impossible. So New York trying to get a little bit of momentum, and I like the setup they had as well. We've obviously had the one round where Zuma gets hyper aggressive all the way up past trenches, and that means Minnesota are gonna have to be aware of that, have to keep that in the back of your mind. So Assault, when he's crawling out for the check over sword trenches side, this time it's this setup, right? You get the AR overlooking guy in the rock, you're double stacked, so that way even if Assault is able to pick up one, you get the guaranteed trades, and New York executing those strats to perfection.
Seed once again bringing that snipe back through mid, so narrowly missing that flick shot, man. Is he going to get this? Dude, that would have been disgusting. But again, I'm not hoping for too much here. It's a very difficult angle to hit that shot, but I appreciate Exceed for giving it a go. This is the time. You're at playoffs and champs. Play all your tricks. You can't take them with you into the next game.
And here's the trick, by the way, that instant wrap, they get the pick over by B, and New York has fallen heavy for the bait. They have 3 bodies stacked around B, and attaches by himself, and the entire Røkkr team is coming.
Oh, Exceed, he's going to keep the flank open at A, so that's going to be the kill. Now you've got an open A site, that's going to be huge. Alex can push forward. You have to watch out for those now for the reinforcements from Subliners. 2 of them making their way forward. It's going to be Zuma, it's going to be Mac. Can Alex get there in time to find the shots? There's one from Asim. Mac gets the immediate trade. And now this 1 versus 1. Dead Silence still active there as Assault finds one through middle, and a brilliant round from Røkkr, 4-1. Chance, this is falling apart real fast.
They're playing them like a fiddle, honestly. I mean, this is just like tailor-made custom strats. It seems like maybe even built for New York. That was instantaneously biting on the bait. They get that first blood on the B side of the map. New York sends everybody that direction. And effectively for good reason. We know that if you can get that bomb down on the B site and no one's there immediately for the retake, time is not on your side. It's very difficult to actually win those rounds on defense. But New York committed so heavily to it, and Minnesota was so fast on the wraparound to A that again attached that lone man, and Exceed was ready and waiting, still on fire with that sniper rifle.
He's on fire, man. Can he find any more? Silly with a very small angle to work with here, overlooking the middle of the map. And this is a standoff. Subliners starting to sweat. You can feel the tension. They're not really willing to make a play happen. They're worried about those first bloods. Again, Exceed has been devastating with a sniper attach, has not been as impactful with his AX-50. It's going to be Temp with Dead Silence, making something happen right through the middle of the map. If Attach can find a pick as well, that's great. But Temp now, quiet as a mouse as he slips over through the middle of the map. And then into the jaws of Asim, the trap was set and he manages to catch it. That is a blessing right there for Røkkr.
And this is also just 38 seconds they have left on the clock. It took a long time for that first blood to come in, but New York, they don't even have the option necessarily to wrap back. They're going to have to flood this B site, and they're going to have to do it a man down. The clock is ticking.
Here we go. Gotta go. 25 seconds. Loud noises. Going to get the fight started. So he finds one. Immediate trades. Backdoor coverage there from Asim as he finds himself another kill. The second of the round. Impactful ones indeed. 4 versus 2. The remaining members of the Subliners now. It is going to be an absolute nade fest on the inside of the house. No one on the inside of the B site is going to be able to get away with much. Both players activate Dead Silence. Zoom on the front door. Can't get it done. Asim finds the kill. And now it's all on Attach. And Assault's going to get it. The diffuser is there with 30 seconds to spare. And Røkkr, once again, have shaken the foundations of the Subliners here on our club.
And just like full steam ahead, right? That 5-1 lead looking incredibly comfortable. And even the rounds where Minnesota Røkkr are not getting those first bloods, they're still finding ways to clutch up and convert. And frankly, the most important kill of that entire round was just the 1v1 Asim had against Temp. You spend so much time waiting for that Dead Silence to get ready to make that play. And if Temp wins that gunfight, well, now you got B site control inside of the Subliners, then they can make their move. But simply because Asim wins that one-on-one, well, now New York are in a terrible position. They're forced to effectively make bad plays because they have no other options. Obviously, do not convert. Now you got the Røkkr just looking to put this one away as quickly as possible.
Map point. Can Exceed get it done again? Assault backing him up. 6 kills. Well, 8 kills to Assault's name. Is attached now, and the New York Subliners shuffling on the defense. They think the play's coming in towards A. They have mid-map control. They have broken house control as well. Zuma's going to try to peek here. He can't get it done. Assault wins the 1v1. A huge kill to start this round off for Røkkr.
Now Røkkr taking their time, right? Like waiting for the smokes to come out. They're not in a rush, and now you actually see Asim. What he's waiting for is someone to push up through the smoke to kill a guy off bomb. He's got that angle covered. That's what Mac is attempting to do, but you can see the bullets at least coming down. Feels the pressure. The cover is there. Assault with his next pick.
Another big kill. Accuracy now on the flank. Dead Silence popped. Is he going to be able to get in behind at least one of these players? It looks like he may have just come in over the top. There's one defender below him. He's got eyes on no one just yet. There's one kill on Alex. Can he find another one? Exceed with a pistol once again. Kill number 7. Now to attach. He flies forward. A lovely kill. Damage dealt, but not quite. There is the final shot. Wait, was a snipe from Exceed to win the round. 6-1. Blink and you'll miss it, Chance. That's the series tied up, my friend.
Series tied up and in a dominant fashion as well. Exceed, I think, finished 8-1 on board. At least, I think 6 or 7 of those were with the snipe as well. And you talk about their response to having to figure out new strats on the map. Well, no need. Exceed can get that job done. And a necessary bounce back to Røkkr. I have to imagine so many people around the league, they see them make this roster change and immediately throw all of the doubt in the world in their direction. But hey, at least on that map 2, and even the map 1 was close, they're looking pretty damn good.
Man, this is a great series. I think we all had different expectations of how this was going to go down. We all thought New York were going to be the stronger team, but so far, Minnesota Røkkr coming out swinging, and this is a good start, mate. This is a good start. Now we get to a very, very interesting map. The domination is going to be... I don't even know what to think of this one, because again, we have not seen New York Subliners play this map once this year. This is the first time ever, Chance. But why do you think that is? Did you get anything out of it?
No, dude, that is the one coaching staff, by the way, that if you ever try to dig out information, they shut you down hard. Revan is very tight-lipped about this sort of thing, but it's interesting. Obviously, if they've never played it before, at some point in the year, they weren't comfortable. But if they're saving it for champs, that means at least for the past few months, they have been on the grind. They have put the work in, and they're confident on the map. And Miles, something we talked about for the St. Petro Dom, specifically for this team, actually, is it kind of seems like a map that they would be fantastic at, right? Like the style of the way you play on St. Petro is the AR is the ultimate post-up player. It's what Accuracy loves to do. Everyone else be those roaming slayers, and that's exactly what guys like Zuma and MacMelts love to do. So I think it'll be a good one for them, but obviously still a massive unknown quantity.
Good stuff to look forward to. Before we get into the next match, of course, we have our US Army tactical play, and it was going to go to Exceed. Snipe after snipe after snipe. Tremendously impactful moments. Again, we had questions about whether he was going to be able to fill Godorex's boots, and so far here on Arklov, beautiful stuff. There was 2. I believe in the end, he finished it off with a nice big winner there, and that shot onto Temp. A delight to watch. Great stuff if you're a Røkkr fan. Again, if you're in the Discord, prizes and fun to be had there. But beautiful stuff. We know those Minnesota fans thoroughly enjoying themselves. Chance, this has been a good one so far. And again, mate, well done on map number 1. I got to watch the whole thing. It was great, mate. Congrats. Hope you get yourself a glass of water now as you go into this domination game, because, boy, we will need it. Search and Destroy is done. When we come back, it's going to be domination there on Petrograd after this. Plenty more CDL action to be had. Don't go anywhere.
Thank you to Xperia by Sony, official mobile partner of the Call of Duty League. The new Xperia 1 Mark II smartphone brings you the ultimate mobile gaming experience, with a cinema-wide 4K OLED display and more technology to enhance your gameplay. Tournament audio and team chat listenings are brought to you by Astro Gaming, the official headset and mix amp of the Call of Duty League. Join the Astro family and order the CDL A40 TR headset and Pro Team speaker tags today at astrogaming.com. Call of Duty League is brought to you by Mountain Dew Game Fuel, the official energy drink of the Call of Duty League. Gaming, the official controller of the Call of Duty League. Call of Duty League is brought to you by Metro by T-Mobile. Rule your day with the #1 brand in prepaid. The United States Air Force. Learn more at airforce.com.
Save money at the restaurants you love with Grubhub Perks. Use code CDL Playoffs at checkout to get free delivery.
In every battle, there is a moment. Most don't even see it. But for others, it's all they see.
And there's the hype! How many men is he gonna run through? That was just easy dominance. They did it!
Here, on the ultimate proving grounds, Call of Duty's elite converge. When that moment stares you in the face, you'll know one thing. Glory isn't given. Glory isn't easy. Glory is taken.
One of the most clutch players in Call of Duty history.
I've barely done anything with my career. I feel like I could do so much more. My name is Dylan Price. I go by Attach, and this is my Behind the Controller.
2 kills in quick succession. Attach is getting it done.
Lovely shot.
Right between the eyes. He was making plays. What the snap?
Yesterday's too late for haste. Tomorrow's just too far away. You want to make a major change. There's no perfect day than today.
So the Call of Duty Championship is like the pinnacle of all tournaments, the Super Bowl of Call of Duty tournaments. To be a top team or a top player, to like solidify your spot, you need to win a ring and have consistent placings at the Call of Duty Championship. So for us, we need to really lock down and be a little bit more consistent on our gameplay. Our hardpoint is pretty solid, our domination is decent, and our search and destroy needs some work. If we can just get a little bit better at domination and search and destroy, I think we have a very real chance of winning.
Today I'ma get that strong comeback for when I was a setback. Tomorrow when she promised, you can't put up your problems. And if I'm jumping off the porch, I know my people following.
We are pushing the best teams in the world right now the distance. We are having advantages in the series and not being able to close those out. It's all on us to put that work in, and we're gonna do what we can to get that ring.
You wanna make a major change. There's no perfect day than today.
Attach, one of the most clutch players in Call of Duty history.
One of the best snipers of all time.
Being recognized as being one of the best players of all time is definitely a special honor, but I honestly feel like I've barely done anything with my career. I feel like I could do so much more. I find so much more success that I'm hungry for that I haven't reached yet. So it's an honor to be able to have people like talk about me like that, but I'm still hungrier than ever and wanting to get more wins.
This is my moment. You gotta wait your turn, bro. I'm who the people yearn for.
Behind the Controller, presented by Scuff Gaming. Now, also head to the Scuff Gaming Twitter right now for a chance to enter to win a CDL Impact. CDL Scuff Impact. Go there right now. It's at Scuff Gaming on Twitter. All the details are there for a chance to win yourself your very own Impact. This may not be an Impact, but it's a bait. Look at that bait. Oh, baby. With them digital triggers. Oh, you know what I'm talking about? Them sweet digital tippity tap triggers. I'm loving it, mate. I'm loving it. My Impact's on the floor there, the London one. Still, shout out London. Big fan, though. Big fan of everyone's work here. Of course, Scuff Gaming, all the sponsors we have here in the CDL. And more sponsors coming up a bit later. We got some more fun news. I hope you love burritos. I hope you're a big fan of Mexican cuisine, because I sure am. So in this upcoming match, we see a 40 bomb drop, a 40 kill game in any respawn. Hit that exclamation mark Chipotle in chat. It's going to be free burrito drops. That is if we see 40 kills. Believe me, we will be keeping track. And if somebody hits that one, we will be letting rip. It's going to be burritos for everybody. Again, that's exclamation mark Chipotle in the chat right now. I want a free burrito. You want a free burrito. Game 3. Let's get it on.
Let's get it on, and free burritos would be delightful. It'd be interesting if anyone ends up like rooting for the other team. Like if you're a Røkkr fan, but Mac Melts has like 38, it's just like, God, like if he could just get 2 more, like that'd be swell. But either way, the way I see this current match of domination is we're just answering questions for both of these teams. Obviously for New York, who have never played the map before, answering the question of like, are they even good at it type deal, and how effective then can they be? And of course for the Røkkr, I think they answered the question pretty well of how good can they be in search and destroy, how well can Exceed perform with the sniper rifle in hand. We got our answer, but now we need to figure out if they can keep up with the best teams in the world in the respawn game modes.
Yeah, and this is for the lead of the series. Both teams tied up 1-1. Again, this is a winner's round 1, so nothing too crazy. Each of these teams will have another chance to survive in the tournament, but to move on in winners, again, this is a $75,000 increase to their prize pool so far. That's at the top of the $100,000 they already have. So it's a sweet chunk of change. There's a lot of burritos. You go to Chipotle with 100 grand, oh my God, you'd walk away with a lot of food still. No one with full mid-map control just yet, but it does look like Røkkr, maybe the players to get it done so far. A nice 3 kills off the rip from Asim. We'll stay on board with him as to keep his dead son's player alive.
The guy trying to make a big play for the team, right? He was able to get behind enemy lines and try to open things up, but now that he's been dealt with, you see the feed New York get that clearance on the point, and Barsili maybe making that hero play. New York have enough bodies around it that they should be good to capture this B flag off the break.
Well, they get on it for now. There's a player just been taken down, but they still have some presence in the middle of the map. New York Subliners, can they capture the... Well, let's hear it from themselves. Time for a quick Astro Gaming listen in with the New York Subliners.
One shot front red. One's top red hot. Top red hot. Water street. I'm one shot. One shot. One street. One shot Ambi. One shot Ambi. It's Alex at Ambi. And was that low gate, I think, yep. I'm picking up water, I do not have right. I'm coming up water, guys. I'm in street. We have red. I'm trophying myself water. I got one top bar. I have water. L wall's open. I have water. Watch out. I have the main door street. He kills me. Back pillars. I'm backing up right, guys. P1 dead, ace him. Back water pillars, trapped in this corner. One with back hold deep, Lamar. Line, or close out. Top kitchen to the left. Nice, let's go be close out. Kitchen, dead. Nice. I'm backing up left. He's on the cop. We need to get kick. Where are you? He's on water cop dead. Nice, good job. I'm going top right. Get to see him. I got two dead. Top kitchen, right side, Silly. I top left kid. Got one water, guys. Right. Top kitchen, Silly, top kitchen dead, that's 3. Silly is top. Heard you. Okay. I'm stilling for Silly.
He's understairs, weak.
I'm just sitting and holding water, guys. Silly's still on steps, I still have top.
Silly's still top.
I need to put steps.
Yeah.
I don't see Silly.
Might be people top
Silly. I'm wrapping back to Silly. Go upstairs. Can't see. Already in the back, close. 2. I'm smoking out this cross, bro. Stay alive. I'm staying alive in the corner, bro. I need to see. I got one C. One more P3 and C.
It's street.
One dead.
New York Subliners making it look squeaky clean. Damn, I was about to say Assault. They was 0-6 for a while there. That was the first one. I was hoping for a New York cap to pull up. I was like, hey man, where you go? And Assault's like, you just take me to the first easiest kill you can get me, please. And finally manages to get himself on the board. But wow, accuracy and zoomer chance just slaying their way through Petro.
Absolutely, and I think accuracy again is one of the key guys to at least keep your eye on, at least on the mini-map, and see the positioning that he has, because it was one of those things, as soon as he gets in a good spot, that's when he's going to pop off and go on your 4, 5, 6 kill streak. He's always going to be in the perfect position. One of the smarter AR players we have in the league. He does get chopped down there, he's trying to make his way towards C, but Zuma did just enough to get through, and New York are trying to flip these spawns. They are successful. They're able to get back to that CB setup, and more importantly, you got guys like Attach, guys like Mac now can be those roaming slayers around this B flag.
Well, we go. Can Røkkr finally make the break here? They got numbers. They don't exactly have the high ground to work with, and that's what you really want to be having here as you push in towards B. Top restaurant control is good for now. Asim trying to make it happen from low line. Assault's going to break in through the front with the M4. Again, the kills start to work out. This is pretty solid until Mac ruined the party there by catching Alex from behind, and that's going to make this a little bit harder. Can we see something special come out of Røkkr right now as they try to break the hold over here on by B? There's the neutral. Temp's going to find that quick kill there on Assault. And see get back on it. Oh, nice shots on a man. Finds the kill. Nade's going to be going down. Oh, man, it's so close. Not finished just yet, though. Can Alex get on there and secure it? No, it's still not captured. B still sitting neutral. Final 20 seconds to go. Dem's just going to roll this one home. You can make that flag neutral. No more points really going the way of Røkkr. And Chance Subliners have surprised us all. They won't play it once this year, but they've definitely been practicing off camera.
Absolutely, and they look great on it as well. I think it might have taken, what, a minute 45 seconds, maybe 2 minutes before the B flag gets captured by either team, and they're still able to go in the second half with a 30-point lead. It was very much, honestly, what we talked about a few weeks ago, obviously in Private Miles, but this is the type of team that if they're able ever to get in a good spot on a map like St. Petrograd, they're just going to be able to run it up. It is not a team that is going to make a ton of mistakes. It is a team that, again, if you can just get accuracy in those good spots, get those good setups, they're going to be in a fantastic spot. Of course, though, now that we're switching halves, New York is going to be the less advantageous side, and that means for the Røkkr, that's their opening. Have a strong opening break, maybe have about a minute and a half to secure this B flag, and just make sure that no one gets through the lines and you retain the C setup.
See how it goes. Mac off to a blistering pace here so far, and again, we need to see 40 kills in this respawn. Not going to happen in the Dom, but hey, we might be able to see it in the upcoming Hardpoint. You know, it's free burritos. That's burritos. Exclamation mark Chipotle in chat. Slow pushes in towards B, is attached to finds his way down Riverside. Into behind Alex, dagger in the back now as he tries to make his play forward. Shots into accuracy as well. Long range shots against Donny Temp. He's going to have to drop down, but Alex has created quite a stir. Finally taken down there. Plenty of time for his teammates now to get onto that B flag and maybe get a cap. Exceed, he's in there on the point. There's a two-man grab on B, and Røkkr will have the flag for now.
And that's it. I mean, at least if they're able to stabilize, you see New York able to clear out a couple of those players, but they even got someone behind enemy lines. Now you get Assault in the exact same spot we saw accuracy in the previous round, and they were able to cap the B flag fast enough, way beyond that first minute mark of the game, that they're still in a decent spot and potential overextension as well. I think Silly ends up spawning behind enemy lines. He's able to pick up one in the feed, and, well, Assault still tearing it up over by that yellow ambulance.
Not bad for a guy that started 0-6. Now, the potential for a full trip cap here now for Minnesota Røkkr. I think it's about time we go for an OpTic Gaming listen in with Minnesota Røkkr.
No, they spawned deep balls.
We have that. We have that.
I'm getting top deep water.
I'm top.
I'm playing it with you.
I'm top hazard. I'm top hazard.
I'm holding your stairs. Water kitchen. I'm stunned. I'm hard stunned. Top kitchen, one shot in 3 times.
He got me, Donnie.
I got one water.
Okay, make sure we push up water. Water.
Mac, we top kitchen.
Okay, top hazard. Yeah, I'll get top hazard.
One's lying on Alex. Good job, Alex.
No, one more behind me. Bust up on B.
Help B. I spawned deep C.
I need to hit guys. He might go back. Matt, take your
Deep C killed me. Yeah, he's deep C on the hunt.
Go push off A. Go to B now. Go.
Get one for me. I'm apps.
He's behind me.
Okay. I spawned apps again.
No, the call.
There's 2C.
Go B.
Yeah, maybe.
Be careful in kitchen, I think.
I spawn apps, boys.
There's 2C guys.
I'm gonna try to get in hazard for you, Adam.
Got you. Hit me. A dead. I'm pretty sure one's in kitchen.
That one's in hazard or gate. One of the two. I heard him.
Go top kit. Kill them all right now.
The one's hazard. Top right hazard. He went that left window.
Top left hazard. Find left window. One's right window. They're double top hazard.
Røkkr fighting tooth and nail. Chance to try to keep themselves in this one, and with that we see a clean 4 kills go the way of Subliners. They're looking to take back that mid-map control. C and B in the hands of New York.
And the biggest issue is, yes, the brief triple cap, or at least the neutralization they had over by A, is able to catch them up greatly in the score category. But unfortunately, the way it's shaped up, CB New York is back to the exact setup that they want. Now they even have pressure over towards this A flag. Temp is in there, trying to cause confusion. He falls well. Zoom is nearby. New York consistently able to keep this pressure past this B flag. And again, it's to be those roaming slayers that if the Røkkr make the move over towards this B flag, someone is going to be there to take him down. And it's what, 22 points with a minute and a half left. Røkkr are running out of time. They're gonna need to get this flag soon.
I'll let you know, get on the road, boys. Attached going to try and keep the window safe there. He catches some ankle shots, but not anymore. Big kills mid-map. That's going to be all on Zuma now to try to keep this place safe, and he does have the last kills there, so that is a big win right now for New York Subliners. Smokes go down, a 2-man capture there on B, sees it change hands very quickly. Max watching Riverside. Now we're going to be seeing the defense there. Final minute approaching here on Petrograd. And New York Subliners doing what they can to close this one out. A nice 4 kills in a row there for Mac. If you can find any more, that'd be great. Røkkr have been trapped on spawn for a while, and now we go over towards A. This could be the big push now, a big potential grab, as the spawns are looking a little tight there for Røkkr chance. If they can find the kills here, New York could go for the trip cap and really throw the dagger here in the final minute.
I throw the dagger. It's a 32-point game at this point. The dagger is well in place of the hearts of the Røkkr and all the fans. And anyone that wanted the burritos, because nowhere near any of these 40 bombs. But the one thing I'll say about how well New York has played this map is think about going into champs. Every single team that had been game planning for them effectively could go in with the mindset of we can pick whether or not we want to play Hackney Yard or Gunrunner, because the auto ban from the Subliners has been St. Petro. Now any team that's watching and paying attention to this looking forward has to think of like, well, now we actually have to treat it like normal. We don't know exactly how good New York Subliners are at this map. They're obviously still play Hackney a ton. They've played Gunrunner a ton too. And that just makes it that much more difficult for every single team to figure out what they want to do on domination against the Subliners. And to me, that might be a big storyline for this team going forward.
There we go. New York takes the lead 2-1 in the series so far. They put themselves on match point going into this hard point. Røkkr, close but no cigar there, mate. I mean, the search and destroy was incredibly dominant, and if we can get ourselves to another search, that could be the way to go, but you have to fight their way through another hard point. Now, they did take the first hard point. It was tight, don't get me wrong, it was pretty close there, but New York now get themselves the lead. Good kills all around, and again, no 40 bombs to be had. If you have just joined us, we'll keep talking about their 40 kills. Hit exclamation mark Chipotle in chat. Find out how you can get yourself a free burrito. But again, somebody's got to get 40 kills. Could it be any of these players? We will find out.
To answer your question, Miles, of what I'm expecting to see is, for me, honestly, it just goes back to sort of the tagline we threw out before the domination of, well, we needed the question for the Subliners of whether or not they could play Petro. Obviously, that's confirmed. And of course, for the Røkkr, the reason they made the change to begin with, the stated thing, was they needed to have a pacing switch up. And Hackney Yard is the perfect map to get an example of this. You need players that are lightning quick. It is going to be a ton of engagements. The opportunity for a 40 bomb is definitely going to be here. But right now, the Røkkr have just been getting teed off on in the respawn. Admittedly, the first map was close, but it needs to be better in the Hackney Yard, right? It's been one of their better maps all year. I think they have a 6-3 record on this specifically for the Hardpoint. And if the reason you're making the change is to make that respawn just a little bit better, it obviously needs to be seen here.
Much to be seen here. If we can honestly get it done, it'd be tremendous for New York here. But for Røkkr, man, force that game 6. That would be chance to be something real special. I'm not going to lie, mate. For Røkkr to turn this one around here would be incredible, but they have to get through them on Hackney. Now, I think there's a video coming up. I think we talk about this quite a lot in the CDLs. Casters were not meant to have favorites. Chance, I don't think you have a favorite. I mean, I try not to have a favorite. I was born in London, but I do my best. Not to have favoritism when it comes to the commentary. I know while I was in London, I was definitely showing a lot of favoritism, but that's very different. But if you do want to get a caster's bias on your side, do yourself a big favor and send them a huge bag of merchandise. I received a package today from Toronto Ultra. It's on my Twitter right now. Obviously, I can walk you through this one, but they sent me an alarm clock and a little letter that said, if you thought about sleeping on Ultra, enjoy these comfy PJs. Chance to send me some PJs, man. I feel very grateful. Very, very grateful indeed.
I mean, what I just heard is basically if I talk trash about some of these orgs, they might send me free stuff. So Toronto is the... No, I'm not going to go there. Obviously, we try to stay biased. The swag is always nice, but I don't know. For me, Miles, I'm biased towards the gameplay. The better gameplay I see, the smarter plays that I get to witness, the more I'm a fan of you.
See, I don't know. I'm just looking around the room now. I've got a fair amount of swag from these teams. And yeah, as I said, my allegiance can be bought. I'm a very fickle man. I'm a capricious turncoat. And if you do want my unabashed support here on the CDL streams, I'll send you my address. You can send me whatever you like. But then, mate, as we go into this one again, Minnesota Røkkr, a big win. A must-needed win now if they want to force that game 5 and keep themselves alive here in the winners bracket. And so far, so good, mate. Knock on wood. All 10 players are making it to the end of these games. Let's keep the trainer rolling, I must admit. I mean, I've obviously had my ups and downs, my ins and outs in the series so far, brother, but this should be a good one. Røkkr, again, all playing in a safe and secure location, socially distant, as you can see there. I believe that is Exceed in the back of Alex's shot, and I believe that is going to be the same for some of the members of the New York Subliners.
some of the members, and of course, if we're trying to pay attention to any player specifically on that team, I think Mac is definitely the guy that I would give maybe not my full attention towards, but definitely have to keep an eye on him. He has been a player since his presence in this league where he can take over games, where he can run the score up, and he can just go absolutely crazy. And of course, on the flip side for the Røkkr, genuinely, I mean, Exceed has to be that guy, right? He doesn't necessarily need to drop 40, but the level of production was not there for the domination. He needs to step it up on this Hackney Yard. It is the perfect example of a map that when you talk about the pacing of a team, it needs to be hyper aggressive. It needs to be there. And of course, another tagline, well, New York, the good news for them, starting on the good side.
Starting on the good side. Game 4, here we go. Nades are out. Alex gets the first blood. So Zuma may be in there first, but he will be the first to drop. C's going to get his first kill as well. He's in our battle for that opening hardpoint. Again, it is a true slaughter, a bloodbath there at this point. Not quite as mad as we have seen in other maps. I think back to Hacienda, Black Ops 4, and even Arsenal. Remember that one there? It was that right smack bang in the middle. It was such a festive nades and shots. But again, saving grace right now for the New York Subliners. They do have control of the tire shop on the right-hand side if they can keep the push now from Røkkr. But at this point in time, Røkkr, mate, they're looking to get themselves a solid chunk of time out of this first hardpoint.
Yeah, it was honestly just an incredible opening break to the point where the entire Røkkr team just had to post up for maybe, 10, 12 seconds where there is not a single gunfight going on. And even more so, they now have 20 seconds where they're starting to push aggressive and potentially already trying to flip these spawns in New York. They have pressed the panic button. They are turtled up in their spawn. The good news is they're still spawning there, but Minnesota, perfect opening break. They were able to get a massive amount of time on this first hill and still have at least a little bit of time to work with to try to get this potential tire shop break.
I like that. Final 20 seconds of that hard point. He had a gutsy attempt. Didn't quite work out, but we'll see if they can push forward. Still, Røkkr on approach now. Zuma will keep the defensive line, holding a lovely two-piece on Asili and Alex. Can he get any more out of this one? Assault with a 5 of his own in the backside. It seems now going to break from below. Mac takes care of that player upstairs, and now he's got more to watch out for, as it looks like Assault has managed to slip in through the back of the van. So, New York Subliners, the panic button has been hit, and now they're starting to breathe the fire out of the lungs. But Røkkr have not stopped pushing whatsoever. As seen once again with a blistering opening kill attached now, managing to pick those pieces up. And again, it's New York Subliners doing the dirty work there, really picking up those trades. Wonderful stuff from them. They are going to retain solid control of the tire shot. And chance now, as everyone starts to sigh a little bit of relief, we are going to push out across map. Get ready for that third hard point by Smokestack.
And already you see New York, they got a couple players potentially trying to work that overextension. I think Temp will be the guy leading that charge, but while he gets dealt with, it's honestly starting to shape up the same way that Ramazda did. It has been every single hill, whatever team gets there first, has basically been able to hold a near full 60, and if you can get a break, that's massive for the team. So the opening moment, potentially, Zuma has gotten around back. He can potentially be the guy to make that hero play. He's able to get that first strike. Now he needs the help from his teammates.
Goes down right on the point. Exceed trying to clear up mid. Dipsy doodling back and forth, ring around to Rosie. And he's going to come out on top. Catch falls down. No more in the middle for Exceed though, as he finds kill number 5. Kasim goes down as well. There's a pressure now from New York Subliners starting them out. Into the hard point they finally go. Zuma with a nice kill. Immediately traded out though. You're going to watch this back and forth now take place. Still, most of the map in the hands of the New York Subliners right now. We are seeing Minnesota Røkkr spawning in that lower left-hand side of the map by yellow, where Attach was taking those shots, so you can keep them pinned there, all good. But number 6, Alex is spawned out in the middle, so possibility to get on the hard point does indeed, deals a little bit of damage. Number 3, they're still watching mid. Keep the Røkkr pinned. Keep Røkkr pinned, I should say, in that left-hand side of the map, as these players now transition over to green.
Blood is in, accuracy up top, knows a couple players around, even the pre-fire on point as well. And you can actually see New York, they have got the swarm in and around this office hill, but inside Assault, only able to pick up one. New York get the clearance. They're, of course, trying to work on that comeback. Still only down by a couple seconds. They should be able to retake the lead here. And now, of course, pay attention to minimap. Zuma, again, is that guy constantly flanking, constantly getting behind enemy lines. He's thinking about the spawns long-term while his teammates still fighting inside the actual point.
I love that. He made that move 40 seconds before the hard point was finished. Now, his teammates may have lost the battle there on 4th hard point, but he's geared up for the next one. Doc's building is going to be his when it's time to flip. 20 seconds remaining. Could well go the way of Røkkr, but here comes the last push now from the Subliners. Max going to find one. He gets the second up close to the M4. Silly now involved. Silly not able to get the second. The shots were there. He's going to dip on out. Final 10 will be going the way of Røkkr. Looks like Temp's going to be there to cause a little bit of distraction, but Silly, a late rotation, fully knowing that the New York Subliners do have this position pretty much under wraps. Silly he managed to get through. Chancey made it in.
And he just ran straight through as well. Like, it's not like he took his time. Of course, the good news for New York, in spite of that kill he's able to pick up, still because of the play that Zuma made a minute and a half ago, they have the full setup on the hill. They got players spread out all the way across the map. And well, Minnesota, they're trying to pour the pressure from all sides.
All sides that we go. We've got to make the break work out. Trying to clean that one player out of yellow. Here comes the rest of the subliners through mid on those spawns. 10. The lone man right now trying to make something happen here. Good trigger discipline. In he goes. The slip slide into Exceed as he gets himself his second. Nice work from Temp. And with around 20 seconds left there on the hard point, that's going to be going the way of the subliners. A great way to keep the lead going. Now, can Accuracy find a few more kills here and make the next set of rotations theirs off the break?
I mean, he's surrounded, come out with your hands up type deal. Finally, his teammates are trying to give him a little bit of support, but Minnesota are going to have about 3 bodies inside of this actual hill. And keep in mind, the first time we saw this hill pop, Minnesota was able to throw up, I think it was maybe 55 seconds on it. And right now, even from the good side, which means long-term bad news for New York, they're inside the hill and picking up most of the kills.
Shots from Mag. This kill's still going their way, but that's going to be it. 3 that go down there from New York makes it very much Minnesota's hard point. Exceed. He's going to be holding that front line down. 10 finds a 3-piece to the background. Shots still ringing out. Doing what they can up close. There's a quick contest. Exceed on the outside. Sadly, a team nade. But nice work nonetheless from Minnesota Røkkr. Keeping a hold of that hard point, and they've got control for the next one. Chance we could see a lead change coming up here.
I mean, the tides have turned. This is a pretty big deficit the Minnesota Røkkr have kind of sorted their way out and climbed out of. It does look like those final 15 seconds are poised to go the way of the subliners, but of course, as you pointed out, I mean, this is it, right? This is the big hill, Minnesota. If they get this hold, if they get that near full 60, they'll be able to take the lead and set themselves up long term. And of course, that means for the subliners, one break here, if by some miracle they can pull it off, is going to be massive to help them win this game.
We've got to see a good break now from the New York subliners. Seam, I mean, he's shooting at ghosts right now. Accuracy, Zuma, Temp, attached, lined up. This is a solid, concerted effort. 4 clean kills. This could be it. New York subliners, the potential to break here. Zuma cut down before he can even get involved. The spawns are still close. Attached, no. He's going to manage to make his way in. He goes down as well. Now Max up next. Silly finds the kills and is back and forth on the point. The final 30 goes the way of whoever can find these next set of kills, and somehow Accuracy stays alive. Oh boy, I'm about to faint. That was a wild set of kills there on the hard point, but subliners still, they contain, they get the kills. They're going to get the next 20 seconds, and they still have to get across map.
And it cannot be understated. I have to imagine if you ever break P2, your like win rate on this map has to spike up to 85, 90%. They're able to pull that off, able to maintain that lead. And granted, it's only 30 points, so it doesn't seem that extreme, but it cannot be understated how big of a moment that was for the subliners, and just kind of cranks that pressure up a notch for the Røkkr. Obviously, in the series, they lose one map, they get sent to the losers bracket. That could be an absolute dagger. They need to start turning up. They need to go big.
Yep, this is for the series. Subliners can walk away 3-1 if they take the hard point. Røkkr now fighting back. Solid control so far here on the third. There's Assault. He's just waiting for the push. He's waiting for these players to come in close. So after that smoke goes down, great awareness again. Good comms. Expecting the push, and he jumps out into nothing but gunfire. So that could be a nice hold here from the subliners, able to get a little bit more time. Can Asim now do what he can. Remaining 20 seconds. Just to get these players out of the hard point. They're going to have control of green, essentially, unless the gunfights go their way. Mac, once again, the gun is up, ready to go. He finds another good one, and as Exceed can't get it done, once again, it's Mackenzie Kelly finding those kills on the point.
Yeah, this office has just been his. Like, ordinarily, it's an MP5 and SMG players like playground. He's been down there constantly with the M4 and has consistently been strong on this hill. Able to pick up just 2 so far, but the subliners right now have, what, 3 bodies in and around the point. Minnesota have to play this very delicately. They need to make sure they maintain these spawns, but they also have to get the break because they can, in fact, lose it here.
They can indeed. Mac finally goes down there on the point. Attached, trying to watch the backdoor. 2 members left now for subliners as they start to fall. That's going to be a solid set of kills and spawns going the way of Røkkr. Number 1's going to be the lone player spawning dead down by Warehouse, but this is a good side of the map to be on right now for Minnesota Røkkr. Can they hold this on as much as they possibly can? And Accuracy with a nice set of kills there, 25 overall, 27 for 10. Again, nobody near that sweet, sweet Chipotle 40. But let's see how we go. Røkkr will have a sizable amount of presence here going into the next hard point. Can Temp find something? We saw Silly slip through, and Temp from up high finds it. Now he's going to slip on in. Uh-oh, that could have been a damaging kill. Now the spawns are still close. So Røkkr, they've got another life in this fight. Finally Exceed cleans them out chance, but it's starting to get closer and closer.
It was such a close attempt by 10, but of course, as soon as he gets that hill, two players spawn up underneath him. Now you got Assault trying to be the cutoff man, and even if he falls, the teammate support is there, but teammate's not needed. He gets the job done. Right now, Minnesota down by 10. They're going to be able to set themselves up potentially to take this lead because the Subliners are oh so far away. Everyone around office, and they have to go on a hike just to potentially break this hill.
They got to charge. They absolutely have to charge. Attach with a nice opener here. Trying to break in from the side. Silly and Exceed finding those kills. A scene with kills of his own. Temp's going to get shot off the top now. Zuma finally manages to make his way into the point, not before being cut down as well. And again, the back and forth we seriously are going here, man. And it's number 6 who's managed to make the run across map, and it's going to be Alex. Alex loses the 1v1 against Zuma, though, on the other side of the map, and Temp's now back onto the point. 25 for the win, and we could actually see it done here. No, the contest comes through there. I was going to say, for Røkkr, there was a chance they weren't going to get it done, but here we go. Zuma has to win big here, on point. His teammates need to get in position. This is to force the game 5. There's the contest. Attach is going to be in position now to get the push. Now there's a few seconds left. Attach with a couple of big kills. 20 now for the win for Subliners. 2 seconds for Røkkr. Get in on the point. Slay these players out. But you absolutely have to get it done here. One more push, Røkkr. This is to keep the series alive. This is for the game 5 and Attach. He's going to keep getting these kills. Chance, it's not over yet. It's not over yet. Subliners, they're holding the line. They're keeping the kills coming, and that's going to be it. It's a 3-1. The New York Subliners, they never say die, and Røkkr just unable to close it out there.
Oh, in the most devastating fashion possible, too, for the Minnesota Røkkr. The number of things that New York had to do perfectly at the end, the number of micro adjustments that every single player had to make the read for. Not only is it, oh God, they have 12 seconds left on the hill, they need 10 to win the game. We hit the flood and contest, and only one man was able to rotate over towards P1. That was Zuma, and he is inside the hill. He can feel the pressure coming from all direction. He leaves it to try to push out L because he knows that players are there. As soon as he does that, players show up behind him, and he buys his teammates just enough time. I mean, down to the wire to get back in the point, to contest, to get them weak, for then Attach to be that hero, to sweep around the back, to pick up a couple kills, and by the skin of their teeth, able to get that 250-248 win. New York, man, they came to play.
The skin of their teeth. It really came down to literally 2 seconds. They needed 250-248. That is a nail biter. That is heartbreak for Minnesota Røkkr players and fans across the world. Now, I will say the one thing that comes to mind now is I'm just like, okay, so if you make this change to Exceed 1 home series ago, 2 home series ago, whatever, you see a different team here. You see a more well-oiled team. You see a team that maybe were able to close out those kind of games. Oh, man. Anyway, chance. Shoulda, coulda, woulda. What a series that was. A lot of fun. No 40 bombs, no round 11s in Search and Destroy, but we went the distance. That was a lot of fun. Very, very close games. Our scuff play of the game will be the final minute of that exciting hardpoint on Hackney Yard there, where, quite frankly, New York Subliners, they could have lost that one bad chance, but they just didn't.
I mean, again, and just to try to touch on the number of things that have to go right, even those like few moments of contest right there from Zuma, obviously it pays off long term, right, if you only get that 2-point win. But right now it's what, 2:40 on the clock with an extra 2 ticks. New York has to flood for the contest, and Zuma, not only do you see the gunfight he had to win against Alex on the right side of the map, when he's inside of the point, some of the Røkkr players start spawning out behind him. So he has to push out one direction while knowing they're coming up from behind, and even though he doesn't have to deal with the pressure up front, contest for just long enough for, again, Attach to come in and make that hero play and pick up that 2-piece. And then as soon as they got that control, obviously New York never let up. But that is consistent work for Zuma to be the absolute hero for the team. Literally did just enough on 2 different hills with enough of those 1v1 gunfights to put him over the edge.
And Attach, man, I mean, really, that was a 7 spree in the end. I don't think he gets any more out of this, but what a run. Minute 21 on the hard point. Unbelievable stuff. Well, playoffs moves on. Subliners will be facing the Huntsmen in the winners bracket round 2. Ultra, of course, play the Mutineers. All of these games coming up again for the rest of this week. But Røkkr now, they drop down to the lower bracket where they will be playing OpTic Gaming LA. And of course, Legion versus Royal Ravens also in the lower bracket as well. Those players down low, those teams, one more loss and they can say goodbye to Modern Warfare and their run here in the CDL in the first season. But for everyone else, you see FaZe and Empire waiting in the wings in those winners round 3. But man, what a day it has been. Drama Rama. I will say, from start to finish, something's happened on every day here in playoffs. Something crazy and unprecedented here in COD history, man. Nameless fire alarm went off. His building was actually on fire. Like, that wasn't like a test or anything. He was sending the text messages to the group DM. The dude, his neighbors above him were on fire. A candle set fire to a carpet.
The neighbors were not on fire. The neighbors were
not.
Just to be clear, his neighbors are safe. They are okay.
Everyone's safe. No, everyone's absolutely fine. But it's just insane, man. It's just a crazy day. It was a crazy week. Anyway, we've still got some fun coming up here. And again, on Sunday, we actually have or Saturday, sorry, we have a very, very exciting announcement to be made. We will be announcing our Call of Duty League MVP presented by OpTic Gaming. Don't forget this one. Tune in. It's coming up on Saturday. We'll see who the highest personal honor a player can receive here in the CDL. Now, again, the way we've done the MVP this year is, of course, it's been analyst picked. There's been a lot of votes going on there, a lot of discussion behind the scenes. So it's not necessarily being awarded to the team that wins the whole thing, obviously, but it is coming up Saturday. Very, very excited to announce that one. But yeah, mate, what a day, what a week. And we're nowhere near done. We've still got plenty of playoffs left to come. Again, Chance, what's next? What is next for the CDL this week in playoffs? What could it possibly be, mate? Aliens? Bigfoot? What could it be, brother?
Honestly, those are two great options. 2020 is attempted to throw everything at every single person, it seems like. But I will say, at least for the 4 matches that we have to look forward to, all of those are incredibly difficult to call. I think we are to the point to the year where all of these teams are so good with how competitive it is going to be. Obviously, we just saw it in that last series. It comes down to a 2-point game in the Hardpoint, but I'm basically just done making predictions at this point. I feel like I know there's some sort of an obligation when we do the predictions at the top of the show, but I think we're going to see quite a few more Game 5s the further we go down the road. A ton of close Hardpoint games. The action is only going to get better, and I'm incredibly excited to watch.
Very, very excited to watch indeed. I'm also enjoying, and of course in the headquarters, the after section, we've been looking at who those teams or players rather that are making those perfect brackets and seeing how those are going down. Amazing to think that some people out there have almost picked this perfectly. But alas, the next series, again, for this team, the New York Subliners, will be against the Chicago Huntsmen, who have yet to have their playoffs matches, and they've had a wonderful run against each other. Chance, again, we saw an unprecedented, set of games against these squads. The Chicago Huntsmen, arguably one of the fan favorites, if not the fan favorite, here in the CDL. Can they go the distance here? What a way to close out the year for those star-studded names.
I mean, again, how crazy of a champs has it been so far? We're 2 days in, and we haven't even seen the likes of the Chicago Huntsmen play yet, or the Atlanta FaZe or Mutineers. All the competition has already been very good, and now we're getting to the point where all of the tournament, previous home series champions are now starting to get into the action, and potentially those teams have made a great deal of improvement. We might start seeing some crazy stuff.
Yeah, man. I mean, I keep thinking about the Chicago Huntsmen. I think they were one of the picks for me that I was worried that something could go wrong for them. So I'm I'm apprehensive in my pick to see if they can go all the way. But I mean, again, it's Pac-Man 7 day one of the playoffs. I mean, there are maybe 6 or 7 teams here who could arguably win the entire tournament outright. Outside, I mean, that's the top 4 inclusive. It's just it's unbelievable to see the level of competition in the CDL so far, and the amount of predictions we made at the start of the year. Again, I had Seattle Surge being one of the best teams in the league. By the end of it, I could not have been more incorrect. But mate, before I get your wonderful thoughts there, I believe Lando is now ready with Attach. Big congratulations to him. Lando, let us know what Attach has got to say.
Yeah, I'll do that real quick.
Yeah. It's your instant reaction brought to you by PlayStation. I think we just lost Attach for a moment. I think he's making sure his backdrop is all in great shape, but still a solid victory for the Subliners. By the way, Chance, he absolutely killed it on the solo cast. And we'll make sure that we got Attach ready to go. Attach, we're here, buddy. We're doing the interview. We're live. We're ready to go. Oh. We are here. We've never been better. Attach for the Subliners. Your backdrop's looking great, man. This was a series, by the way, buddy. No, you're good. This was a series that a lot of people were obviously interested in for a number of different reasons, and it definitely lived up to the hype. I have to ask you, though, about the ending to that Hackney Yard Hardpoint.
Sorry.
You guys are down 247 to 225. You managed to rally back. You go on an incredible streak. What does that comeback say about the Subliners and the I guess you could say relips that we saw there toward the inverse of the Røkkr?
It means that we're always ready. We're always ready to play, and no matter the situation, we're gonna do our best to win it. And it was looking kind of dim, but Tommy made a big play to break P5. Then we busted in P1, and we're able to hold it for 20+ seconds there. So I was definitely excited to win that match. Get the first match of the tournament shakes out of the way.
Absolutely, man. Well, I have to ask you a little bit, right? Dom on St. Petro. We've never seen you guys play on this map all season long. You're bringing it out here versus the Røkkr. Is this some JP and Revan mastery?
Definitely. I mean, we haven't ever played this map before, so teammates or teams don't know what we like to do on the map. They don't know our tendencies, and we're going to be able to catch a lot of teams off guard. Our other gun runner was like kind of shaky, so we decided let's give Petro a try, and it's been working. We played it well today, so I'm excited to keep on playing it.
Should we expect some more clever strats as the event progresses?
I'm not sure. I don't really know the strats. I kind of just go in and play the game. I let my smart people on the team handle all that stuff.
Oh, come on. Smart people, as if you're not smart, Tatch. Tell you what, man. You graduated high school, right? That was a vlog.
I did graduate high school.
Right?
I did graduate high school.
That's
unfortunately,
true.
The college did not last too long, only a day, but it's all good.
You're just too busy winning COD champs. That's all. It's just too busy, breaking in the money. But I'll tell you what, you guys play well here versus the Røkkr. You managed to get the 3-1 win, but now I have to ask you about what's next, right? You get another matchup here versus the Huntsmen. You played this team a number of different times throughout the season. Last time we saw you face off against this team, it was a 3-0 in your personal home series finals. How's the team feel about another series here versus Chicago?
Honestly, we're feeling good, especially being able to play a match before, for your intro to the tournament is huge. So we're kind of warmed up. We have those tournament jitters out the way, and we're kind of going to take that momentum and just keep on going with it, which is what we did in the last tournament when we played them. We woke up on Sunday, we 3-0'd Toronto, and then we brought the momentum into that grand finals. But they've been preparing for a while. We've been preparing for a while. It's going to be a crazy battle for sure.
That was your instant reaction, brought to you by PlayStation. Attach, as always, thank you so much for joining us, and best of luck in the rest of the tournament.
Thank you.
Absolutely. Well, while day number 2 has officially come to a close, there is still a lot to chat about. When we come back after the break, it's Lottie, Nameless, and Pac-Man with a day 2 recap here at CDL Playoffs.
Mr. Ice is vein. Bomb go top. He gets the damage in. He can't miss it. It's accuracy. Engage. Here we go. Juma. 1 versus 3.
Now Attach is the man to make the play. It's be Attach locking it down.
And Mac with the snap. Come in and dominate the respawn.
TeamSpeak, the official broadcast communication partner of the Call of Duty League. The US Army, what's your warrior? PlayStation 4, the official platform partner of the Call of Duty League. Call of Duty League is brought to you by Metro by T-Mobile. Rule your day with the #1 brand in prepaid. you to Xperia by Sony, official mobile partner of the Call of Duty League. The new Xperia 1 Mark II smartphone brings you the ultimate mobile gaming experience, with a cinema-wide 4K OLED display and more technology to enhance your gameplay. Tournament audio and team chat listenings are brought to you by Astro Gaming, the official headset and mix amp of the Call of Duty League. Join the Astro family and order the CDL A40 TR headset and Pro Team speaker tags today at astrogaming.com. Call of Duty League is brought to you by Mountain Dew Game Fuel, the official energy drink of the Call of Duty League.
In every battle, there is a moment. Most don't even see it. But for others, it's all they see. That move, that shot that separates legend from afterthought. That instance between your name heard round the world and total, deafening silence. Every moment, every battle only has two outcomes. And when it happens, only you can decide what is yours. And now the true battle begins. With all eyes on you, there's no time to rest. No time for excuses. The moment is now. So it's put up or shut up. It's time to prove without a shadow of a doubt that your best is as good as gold. And the only thing that drives you more than the thrill of victory is the fear of being forgotten.
And there's the hype! How many men is he gonna run through? That was just easy dominance. They did it!
Here, on the ultimate proving grounds, Call of Duty's elite converge. When that moment stares you in the face, you'll know one thing. Glory isn't given. Glory isn't easy. Glory is taken.
There it is, the biggest and baddest of all trophies. It is, of course, the CDL trophy. What else would it be? Look at how freaking beautiful that is. I mean, I'm never gonna get tired of seeing this incredible visual of this trophy. It's absolutely beautiful, and this is what they're playing for right now. This is exactly what the bracket is for. We're going to have a look at right now exactly where our teams have been, where they're at right now, who has gone home, who's gone through to winners round one. Really exciting stuff across the board today, and some big movements that have been happening in our bracket. Of course, Subliners proceeds on to face Huntsmen tomorrow, and Ultra also continue on to face Mutineers. I'm also joined by Pac-Man and Nameless, of course. Who else would it be to end the day with me? Gents, a really interesting day all round. Some pretty good matchups. Weirdly, both ending in 3-1. So yeah, I want to get your high-level thoughts on what we've seen today so far. Pac, anything that's kind of jumping out to you?
I want to speak on the Røkkr match. I feel like they were a lot better, actually. They were 2 seconds away from taking us to a game 5. They dominated that game 2. I really feel like if they stacked that last P5 hill, they would have won before it ever reset to P1. But New York Subliners did clutch up, so good on them. And overall, it was a really good match and a pretty good showing from Minnesota.
Absolutely. And Nameless, talking about the Toronto Ultra versus London Royal Ravens match, it was really nice to see a Toronto Ultra who had a lot of momentum since their home series, very aggressive coming out of the gates. So what were your kind of thoughts on that one?
I thought they did everything that they could, right? That game 4 was obviously very unfortunate, but for Toronto, it's a good way to kick off the tournament, getting the big win over a team that you lost to in your most recent match. And tomorrow playing a team that if you cause that upset, you have a great chance at making it very far in this tournament. So Toronto are in a good spot. They just have to keep doing what they do best.
Absolutely. And I think, honestly, I've got to give my hat off. If I was wearing one, I would take it off to climax, because what a huge difference he has made to this roster. I feel like every time we see him, he is performing so well and fitting in so nicely. Pac, do you kind of think that a lot of the success of Toronto Ultra right now is kind of riding on the fact that he's come in and allowed this team to gel and work cohesively?
I do. I think he was a brilliant addition to the squad, and I think that their initial 10-man roster proved to be a success for the team. They tried a lot of iterations, and this latest one with Phoenix seems to be the best one by far. So good on Toronto and their organization.
Absolutely. Well, let's take a look right now at our perfect bracket and see who is ruling the day, presented by Metro. And I do have a little inkling that 17 of you guys have still actually got this bracket challenge right. So you guys are nearly perfect. 17 of you guys, yeah, which is incredible. This is our top 5 right now and how it stands. So big stuff coming through from you guys and predicting exactly how this playoffs is going to go, the perfect bracket challenge. I mean, a lot better predictions than I've been having. Let's be perfectly honest. I have to move on though to, of course, about tomorrow. Tomorrow, I think, is some of the bigger games that we're going to see coming through. We've got, obviously a couple of our top 4 that are going to be playing tomorrow. And I want to know which game is going to have the bigger upset, do you think? So I'm going to start with Nameless. Now, Toronto versus Florida. Talk to me about this one. Are we looking to see a bit of an upset here for the Mutineers?
I think this match has the most upset potential. Florida have not looked that great in their last few showings, and Toronto is a team that's completely on the upswing, right? Like in their last tournament, they beat 3 of the top 4 teams. They look absolutely incredible, and in the high-pressure situation, they were able to come up with a win in Game 5 against the best team arguably the best team in the game in FaZe. So I think that they have a lot of confidence, and going up to tomorrow against a weaker Florida team, I think they can take it. So the upset potential there is massive.
Awesome. I can't wait. That'll be a good game. I want to see that one go down. Pac-Man, what about you, pal? Because I know you're probably thinking of New York versus Chicago. Huntsmen, big upset potential here.
Yeah, because last time they played, don't forget, New York did 3-0 the Huntsmen in grand finals. Yeah. Although the maps themselves were very close, New York should have that confidence against one of the top 4 teams in the world. They should be able to believe when they go into it that they can take down that Huntsmen team. New York looks really good today, and we did see that they have the ability to clutch like they just did against Minnesota. So, I don't know. That's the one I'm looking forward to the most. That match has so many championship implications behind it. All these teams, really, all 4 of them have won home series.
It does, especially because their Hardpoint's so good. Like, New York is one of the teams that can go toe-to-toe with them in Hardpoint. It's like if they come out and win that first map, it gets scary because randomly Chicago's good at Search, and then they're not. So that's going to be a really big game, man.
Yeah, I also think like with New York as well, switching up their strats, playing maps that they've never played before because teams don't have that kind of VOD material on them. Big plays coming in through playoffs. And I think, if they have that up their sleeve, then I think I could see an upset potentially happening. I think for me,
round 1?
Yeah, oh yeah. Go on, Anna. I want to know. Round 1,
I was just confirming what you're saying. Like in match number 1, like they had some stuff up their sleeve. Like imagine as it goes on. I was agreeing with you. That was a great take.
I was like, what happened in round 1? Tell me, man. What did you see? I think it's kind of scary stuff. I think if you're one of the top 4 right now, kind of seeing that go down today, and how well it worked. I'm excited. I'm excited to say the least. I think for me though, what I've got my eye on tomorrow is, of course, kind of coming to the heavy hitter section. Like you're running into some teams now who have really kind of pronounced their dominance in the league. Quite clearly, they're in the top 4. And then having the momentum right now, I think for some of the teams who have had to battle the way through to try and continue that momentum going forward. And I think it's really important that they kind of keep that pressure at a minimal level, because I think if you're going into it and you get in your own head, I think it becomes a little bit more difficult. But then you do have the likes of Chicago and of course Florida, who do have cold hands. They haven't had competition yet, so there is that to kind of deal with as well. So yeah, I'm pretty excited for tomorrow. I'm not going to give any guesses to what's happening because you never know. But let's take a look right now at tomorrow's schedule. Of course, we do have a big day to get through. It's going to be super exciting. Presented by the US Army, of course. We do have Chicago Huntsmen taking on New York Subliners to begin the day. And then after that, it's the Mutineers against Toronto Ultra. So some big stuff coming forward here, and I think we might be seeing an upset. I don't want to jinx it, but you never know.
We're going to see one. It's champs. We're going to see one of it, right? Yeah. If not 2, let's be real. Like, looking at both these matches, like we could see 2 huge upsets. This is like the winners round 2, where things get insane, like historically in champs. Like, good teams go to losers bracket, and sometimes they get double bopped out. It's very possible. If it's going to start, it's going to start right now.
Amount.
Yeah. Because everything's went as planned so far, right? Like realistically, all the teams that like were predicted to win, they've won. So I don't know. It's getting weird.
It's getting a bit weird. It is getting a little bit weird. We'll have to see what happens down the road. I'm a bit nervous now. You're making me a bit nervous, Nameless. I'm like, what am I expecting coming out of tomorrow?
It has to happen. Champs
yesterday
is always
was
crazy.
Wild. This is true. Well, maybe we do have a wild day in store for you guys tomorrow. Thank you so much to Pac-Man and Nameless, as always, for closing out the show here. What an incredible day too it has been. And you guys at home, thank you so much for tuning on YouTube. Of course, the CDL playoffs has been day 2. Tomorrow, we've got an even bigger day for you. Can you believe it? We will see you then for our day 3 of the Call of Duty League playoffs.
In every battle, there is a moment. Most don't even see it. But for others, it's all they see.
And there's the hype! How many men is he gonna run through? That was just easy dominance. They did it!
Here, on the ultimate proving grounds, Call of Duty's elite converge. When that moment stares you in the face, you'll know one thing. Glory isn't given. Glory isn't easy. Glory is taken.